What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Metal Maniacs Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Ingersoll, and I'm here, as always, with the man with the blue suede shoes.
It's your boy, Mod.
What's up,
good,
buddy?
Jay?
How you doing, man?
Man, I'm rough.
Yeah.
I told you I'm suffering this outer ear infection. It's killing me, dude. So I wore the big beanie to protect my ears.
Yeah. Why is it only an outer ear infection?
Because it doesn't hurt in the throat.
Oh.
It's just like the outside.
Oh.
They call it swimmer's ear.
Oh, okay.
I know
So
what
it's not like something anybody can get from me or anything.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
get
like
it.
fucking painful as
Yeah.
fuck. I could not sleep. Stare at the back of my pillow for 8 fucking hours dreaming of a podcast to go.
Well, your dreams have come true,
Thank
and we are
God.
sitting here today with the boys in Neqriem. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having
out.
us.
Appreciate you.
Hell yeah. I know we rescheduled this a few times, or maybe one time. Some things were going on for you guys, and we'll talk about that because I'm excited to talk about what happened.
Awesome.
But why don't you introduce yourselves and what you do in the band? If you want to start over here, Eric, and then we can just work our way around that way.
Stole his
And,
thunder.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm Erick Johnson. I do vocals and make the screamy, growly, guttural goo-goos for them and rip it up.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet. I'm Steve Stover, guitarist, backing vocals. Yeah.
I'm John Sperry. I am the drummer and owner of the band van and practice space.
Nice.
So,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
serving all purposes.
Yeah.
the
So we'll
core.
move your name to the top of the list. Right?
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about. Executive treatment.
And drummers, especially if you're cowboy, aren't easy to fucking find. So
yeah, we got to
you-
keep them happy.
Yeah, I was gonna say the value has just gone up. That
Yeah.
stock is up there, buddy.
They treat you right at home, I hope.
Just taking some notes. Like, yeah, my stock is up. Yeah.
He's like, you want to change that part? Let's do it, man. Whatever
Yes.
you say,
That's
John.
cool. Just
Yeah.
just want to do blast beats and
Yeah.
double bass there? Sure.
Whatever you say,
if
John.
all else fails.
All right, so Nick and I have a little history with Neqriem.
Poco.
Yeah, Neqriem
Yeah.
was like 1.5
Yeah.
edition. Yeah, that was back in Infinite.
Yep.
We played a couple times, and I remember the last show that we played with Infinite was in a basement show. It was like
say.
my birthday show back. It was like 2013,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Were you wearing Saiyan armor at that show? by
Yes, that
chance?
was
Okay.
that was the Saiyan Armor show.
Okay.
Yeah, there's old pictures of that, but yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, we played, I believe, when we were talking with the guys from Mouthful of Locusts when Perry was on.
Yep.
It was called Louis or something.
Oh yeah, Louis'
Yeah.
Trophy House. That was always
Yeah.
fun. That back room, they had that giant white buffalo head.
Yeah, it had like all the taxidermy shit on the
Mhm.
walls, like birds and shit in the front room. I swear there
Yup,
was shit
coyotes,
everywhere.
Yeah,
bears.
moose and stuff like that. It was a really
Yeah.
nice. It was like a really nice corner bar. Like if corner bar wasn't like gross.
Yeah. I remember it was a
it's
slapper though. I remember fucking there was a bunch of people there. All the bands got good reception. Like
Yeah,
that
Louis.
was a banger.
I know some people who are still affiliated with them, but they're really only just trying to do like comedy and like open mic. And I'm like, let's do some metal shows again, and they're like, like not really. Yeah.
So I really wanted to have a chance to play there because it looks like it's really cool. Like I mean, it looked really awesome. It's like peeking through the, curtains back there at the stage. But still, yeah, I wish I could have got a chance to play there.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool gig. So we have a little bit of history, and Steve, basically, you're the OG member.
Yeah. Me and Leo technically. Just a little history, I guess. Well, Sperry and I, we've known each other from like 2007. An old acquaintance friend of ours named Adam Summerfield, who was part of Neqriem as well in certain instances. He started up a band with Perry and John, and they're like, hey, like we need another guitar player. Like, you want to come try out? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so like I was in like Colorado or whatever, and I got back and I made it to Sperry's house, and I was sitting there, and I'll never forget this because like I had this 1996 Dodge Intrepid. It was purple, and I had, remember back in the day, like the big, huge stickers that you'd put on the back of your window? I had a Hatchet Man sticker.
Yeah.
I'm not saying one thing or another about, ICP, but it was just the cool thing to do or whatever,
Is that John out loud?
Yeah, whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. And I remember, like, because they were going to get snacks or whatever, so I was standing there, and they come around, and I could just instantly tell, like, feel the judgment.
I was judging pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie. I was
But
like, oh, okay.
it was cool. I had my guitar and like went down and we riffed it out and we all got along. Like it was cool. Like we all had a lot in common. Like they were all playing with Beast Wars. I was like, this is dope.
Yeah.
Like let's fucking play with some toys. And then I was like, by the way, like I'll take this Hatchet Man off if like I can still come chill and
you
like
let me come
play.
back, please?
Yeah.
You just get down there and you're like, who knows Chicken Hut?
Just like
Yeah.
feeling the judgment. Just like,
Yeah. I was like, okay, like let's get this going. And then and then I came back and we had like a band initiation party. We're like taking shots on 151 and Dave's Insanity hot sauce and
everybody gets to go
God.
peel
Just
apart
say,
of
yeah.
that Hatchet Man
Yeah.
sticker off.
Yep.
The decal scrapers.
the ceremonial razor blading
Yeah,
of the
it's
Hatchet
like-
Man sticker.
Yep.
I
You're
should have saved
initiated
some.
now.
I should have saved some. But yeah.
Hey, I fuck with ICP, so I mean,
Yeah.
some of their music
I do
isn't the
too, man.
greatest, but man, I got nothing but respect for those guys.
Same,
Absolutely.
yeah. You know,
Absolutely.
Great Malenko was a fun album.
Oh, banger.
Yo,
Fucking love
absolutely.
that album.
It's still a
For me, Amazing Jekyll Brothers was the album that
Yeah,
like,
that's a good
launched
one.
me into it. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a
this
good
is
one.
amazing.
Anything leading
Oh,
up
yeah.
to Great Malenko was awesome as well.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I concur.
So you said you want to just let's start all the way at the beginning because there comes a time we got 3 dudes on the show. It's a little different. We had 5 or 4 or whatever, but there comes a time when you start to like this kind of music that we're talking about on this podcast and when
Sure.
you guys play extreme
Yeah.
metal, right?
Mhm.
So why don't you guys take turns however you want to do it and just give us a little, some synopsis of like your journey from where you came from, how you started to like extreme metal or the stuff that really inspired you, and then how you became from a civilian to an actual musician.
Yeah, I'll go.
fire
Yeah, because I remember like growing up listening to music. It was it was always like either classic rock or like like hair metal or like heavy metal was always around. And then my mom was always listening to like Shania Twain and stuff, which I still get down with. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so there was a good mix there, and I was like always in music, like playing piano. Like I took piano lessons, I remember, from a young kid, and then as I got into my teens, I was like, okay, piano isn't cool anymore. Like I need to start playing guitar. You know how it goes, and I'm also left-handed, so getting into the guitar was a little bit more of a challenge for me. So it was something that I was like very dedicated towards because I had to work for it harder to get like good instruments or and so I started like playing. Like I really was into like CKY and
Nice.
just like anything I could like learn, like Ozzy, Led Zeppelin, started getting into like System of a Down, and like Slipknot was kind of like where I started to like get into like the heavier stuff. And then I was like, all right, like I dig this. And I showed Cannibal Corpse a couple times, but I wasn't quite ready for that.
Nobody is.
But
the first time nobody
yeah,
is.
I was
and
gonna
I was
say,
like, this
that-
is great.
Yeah, that
But-
story's been told many times.
Yep.
Oh, I bet. It's
Yep.
Absolutely.
And then, I was just doing my thing, and Adam, we went to high school together, and we were in like a little dinky like high school band, and I was playing guitar, and Adam was playing drums, and kind of getting some chops up, like kind of like figuring out, not only who I wanted to be as like a person, but like what I wanted to do like with my music and everything. And then from there, circle back to the Hatchet Man sticker. When I the old band, it was Anacortes Burns. It was John, Adam, Perry doing vocals, and we had our other buddy Joel. We had like a 2 vocalist thing for a while.
Tried
there.
to do the like despised icon
Yeah,
thing.
ion dissonance thing,
Yeah.
and but yeah, from there I was like, okay, like I was like not quite into like extreme metal or death metal yet, but I was like, all right, like, and I asked John, I was like, you need to burn me a CD just with like everything on it, like. And he was like, all right. So he did, and it was more brutal than Toast back in the day. Where you like LimeWire, your playlist. And,
yeah.
It's like some purple Memorex CD
Yeah.
that I burned for him with like, Necrophagist,
There you
Through
go.
the Eyes of the Dead, Faceless, Beneath the Massacre,
Yep.
Decapitated, just some stuff like that on there.
and
to
those
try
were the
to,
ones
like,
that really like like especially Necrophagus, Beneath the Massacre, and the Black Dahlia Murder, I was just like, oh, like I get it now. It was just kind of that like, you know, that Pandora's box. Like I just needed to hear something with a little bit of a somewhat melody, but also very extreme. And then I was hooked. And I was like, okay, like this is it. And I've just never looked back from there. Just trying to get better. Like they're playing guitar amazingly, and I need to learn how to play guitar like that.
Right.
So
It's funny you mentioned two of those names, Necrophagus and Black Dahlia Murder. As I was listening to your guys' music, those are the two that immediately jumped out in my mind. Is they got to be influenced by these two bands.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Faceless rings a bell too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Faceless.
that tracks.
Yep.
With the technicality for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't have my parents didn't listen to a lot of heavy music when I was growing up. Like my dad's a truck driver, and like every summer I would ride around with him when I was younger. And I mean, we're listening to like, you know, Fleetwood Mac, a bunch of 80s synth pop, which I absolutely still get down with.
Yeah,
but
yeah, for sure.
Just
Love
like
Fleetwood Mac.
but like just going over to my mom's later, I still remember watching Ace Ventura for the first time and seeing Back to Cannibal Corpse, Cannibal Corpse, and like I was really young and still didn't get it. But I was like, oh my God, what is this? And then just, you know, as I got older, got into, you know, like Metallica and like some more thrash stuff. I definitely went more the Metallica way than Megadeth. Still trying to like,
Same.
yeah, I felt that like, I felt that.
Yeah.
But just
Trim this down even more.
I was like, oh God, 35 minutes. Like we're done with these guys. No bassist. Metallica over Megadeth. Gross. But just you know, kind of stuck with Metallica until I and kind of like heavier thrash stuff until I got more like through middle school, started getting into high school. And it was like, yeah, you know, like more like Slipknot, you know, stuff like that, some more new metal-y kind of stuff. And then, you know, like I dug like Cannibal Corpse in the more extreme stuff. But I didn't quite know how to get into that. I didn't have that catalyst of a person yet really to get in that until, you know, he'll come up, I'm sure multiple times, but Perry from Mouthful of Locusts, we went to high school together.
Oh, okay.
And we went in the same neighborhood. And like, we really dug the same kind of music, but he had the old huge Rolodex of CDs. So like, we're gonna listen to a bunch of old Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel, bunch of just cool old death metal.
Yeah.
It's like really got me sucked into that. And then I started diving heavy into that. Started playing bass. I started off as a bass player. The first band I was ever in, I played bass, and I still have the same bass. I have a poster of myself in the basement playing at Club Soda, so that's kind of weird.
Oh, that's cool.
But that's kind of weird. But then one thing I distinctly remember is just I'm sure you guys remember back on like having a MySpace and you could put like a song on there. My buddy put Faceless on his off Akaldama, and I just was like, holy shit, like what is this? And then I just started diving into that, and then just that branched off into like just kind of, you know, basically like kind of a mixture of like, oh, now I found Necrophagist, so I'm going down this, okay, Dying Fetus, Origin, and then start moving into way more extreme stuff, and then just after I'm kind of bouncing around, just getting a little excited, but after doing like Anacortes Burns in high school with Steve and Perry, that was my first time playing drums. They didn't have a drummer, so I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot. I always wanted to play drums, but I was never really didn't have the way to get them. Just didn't have really a way to get into them. So we started doing that and just really started trying to push myself as far as I could, like as fast as I could. Just listening to like, you know, Origin, Beneath the Massacre, stuff like that. That just really started to appeal to me more. Like Steve mentioned before, like the melody on top of being just like crushing and extreme, and just like the speed, the vocals, the melody, just all really attracted me, and that's why I still really stick with it, and like I've loved it to this point and still do, and try and make music a lot like that.
So real quick before we get into Eric, tell me a little bit about how like would you just buy a drum set? You found a drum set? Someone gave you one?
I just in the first band I was in, it was called Aquitus. We named it after a lizard stuffed animal of all things. But either way, like I was at our drummer's house and his kit was set up, and I just kind of sat down behind it and started playing My Name Is Mud by Primus.
Nice.
As like just kind of like a kind of simple beat that I could learn, and he came back down the stairs. He's like, I knew it was you playing. It's like, I always swore that you could probably play drums. And I messed around with his kit, and then that band kind of fizzled out, and then I just saved up money from working for a couple summers. Yep, and just like, you know what, I'm gonna get this little set of pearls that came with a bunch of stuff, and just played on that for years and years and years, and that's kind of just where I kind of got into playing drums. It was part of I always wanted to do it, and also a bit of necessity because nobody else was like, oh, everybody still is looking for drummers.
I
and stuff
know. I
all the
wish
time,
I
so-
would have played drums. I played for a long time actually, and it got really good, and then I just stopped playing for some reason. And I'm like, guitarists are a dime a dozen.
I went through a really long time without playing my drums, just from like a housing situation, because I have a large kit, and just like I was living in an apartment, and that's was not conducive to that. And then so I stayed out of playing drums, even out of like the music scene for a long time. And then I happenstance getting back into drums, needed sticks, went into Guitar Center, and Steve is the repair tech there, and I hadn't seen him in years.
Yeah.
So we linked back up there and started talking, and then it was just kind of like, hey, you want to come over, and my kit's back in town. You want to come over and jam?
So nothing serious, you know.
Yeah, just messing around. Like we can play like 3 or 4 full Metallica albums, so we can riff on that for days. And I was like, I still remember some of that 3-track that you gave me to learn 12 years ago to mess around with. So we started jamming on that, and then it just kind of got more serious from there.
Hey, let's play that one song. Like, let's maybe get some in-ears for a click. Let's get some, let's get a trigger mod set up. Let's get some backtracks on here too.
It's like, I went and got some ramen noodles, and Leo was cooking down at Cravings, so then we got him back in. So yeah, it was it. We started off just kind of jamming, but then it really started to kind of gain momentum pretty quick.
Okay, cool.
I'll say you earned some extended airtime with the fact that you were a bassist prior to playing drums.
I was kind of hoping to work that in there. Like maybe that bought me like an extra 2.5 minutes.
I was
really hoping.
Man, this stock keeps rising for you, John.
And it's a 5-string.
It's just keep moving me up the list.
Bass player if we need them.
Still have all the equipment. I'll just take Leo's. What
about you, Eric?
Well, for me, it was just being in the band aesthetic. When I was younger, my brother played drums, and I really just loved everything about it. Being in the, they let me hang out with them and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, this is something I want to do, but I don't want to quite play drums. So then I started getting to a little bit of like Lamb of God, As I Lay Dying. Kill Switch Engage was the album that set me off into it. And I'm like, this is what I want to do. This
Alive
is
or
my
Breathing?
thing. Yes, Alive or Just Breathing.
Hell yeah, we just talked about that one.
Love that album. Kill Switch to me is still one of the huge bands that was the reason I stepped into metal.
Hell yeah.
So I did that for a while, and it eventually got to a point where mutual friends of mine had known my buddy. She was dating my friend Ron, and he was in a band called Still I Breathe. And I put it off for like a couple of weeks, and it got down, all right, this is the last day. If you guys, if you don't want to do anything, then it just is what it is. And so I bit the bullet, went out there, drove out there. They brought the rest of the dudes out after I threw down a couple. I did some Devil Driver and stuff like that, and they really liked it. Came out, was like, all right, you're a part of the band. That's how I started doing music, and that was way too long ago. I want to say like 13 or 14 years ago.
I feel that, man. Trust me.
Yeah. And then a couple years later, I joined a band called Lead the Fallen with the same friend of mine. Did some more of that stuff. We were a lot more like metalcore-ish. That was a lot of the stuff I grew up on. I didn't get more into heavier really until like about when I was in Lead the Fallen and partly through it, and I was really getting into like Cattle to Cap and Cannibal especially. I mean, Cannibal I feel like is one of those groups that it's just that bridge into heavier metal.
They're a great gateway
Cannibal,
band.
yeah, absolutely.
Music,
And they've been around forever, and they just keep getting better and better.
They've got the name recognition and the staying power, so that's a reason that a lot of people will at least try them out and see if they like it or not, if they want to go further with it. And the musicianship obviously is been top notch for decades.
Absolutely.
So. Yeah, they are amazing musicians. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Yep. But then I didn't do anything for music for about a decade. I tried out for a couple of bands. One of them was like another metalcore band, but their sound was a lot lighter than what I was used to, so they just kind of they're like, we don't want you, and it just destroyed me for the longest time. And then last year, ironically, full swing, back to my buddy Ron, who I was in those bands with, hit me up and was like, hey man, there's this band called Neqriem. Check them out. They're looking for a vocalist. They
Blow
just
your
lost
fucking
theirs.
lid off.
Exactly. So I'm like, all right, man, let's check it out. And I listened to the Triptych EP and I was like, hey guys, I'm super, super fucking interested. Let's get something going. And I've been with these guys since last June.
Yeah, it was like June.
Yeah.
Yep. We it's been chemistry ever since. It's insane because I walked into this the first day. These guys it was 100% acceptance. I'd never felt that anywhere in my life before.
cool.
Yeah, they were just like, "Hey,
Vibes.
yeah, you killed it.
Oh, yeah.
Come
we
back
chatted,
next week."
We chatted for like a month before
Mhm.
he even came over to do a tryout, and we were just like talking about music. And I found like old Lead the Fallen like videos like on YouTube at like Papa Pete's back when the stage was against the wall and not in the
Yeah.
corner. And I was like,
Oh,
dude, this
God.
guy's got some tone, and had him come over and he tried out for the hardest song. And then
I didn't think about it. I was just like, and this is kind of a cop out for me because my original thought was I'm going to take the shortest song and do it, but that was just a bad idea.
yeah,
It was
sometimes
a lot.
sometimes
You're like,
length,
"Oh,
yeah,
crap."
sometimes
Oh,
length
it's
is
cool.
deceiving. Yeah.
And then as soon as I start getting into it, I'm like, oh fuck, I sure as hell picked a good job. I picked a great song to start getting into. But it was awesome. It was awesome. And just kind of there. For a large part of my life, I went metalcore, and then I'm with them, and now I'm doing shit like gutturals and stuff I've never done before, and learning all that and getting into the heavier side of vocals, which personally I like. I would rather do like more brutal death metal stuff than metalcore, but the people I was playing with wanted to do it, and
It's a good
I
mix
liked
to
the
have it
music
all
at the time.
too.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
So
But-
you if I sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
I was
but,
done. I'm done.
You didn't do anything for 10 years, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go do some fucking death metal vocals for these guys?
Well, yeah, dude, I
That's
actually
quite the jump.
it is. No, it really is. Yeah, man, I kind of just did my own thing for a while. I was like, I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, fuck it, whatever. I moved up to Grand Rapids for a few years, did my thing, applied or tried to get into a band up there. Was like, I don't want to do Grand Rapids. I'm single. I don't have any kids or anything like that. So I'm like, I'm just going to come back to Kalamazoo. And so it was a lot of that, just kind of living my life. And then when I found out that they were looking for a vocalist, I was like, yeah, dude, let's go. Like, go big or go home, balls to the wall. And then I'm like,
Nice.
I've never really thrown down vocals like that before, but I won't go back.
Hell
There's
yeah.
no fucking way.
I mean, what I've seen live and what I heard, fucking, you do a great job, dude. So
Yeah, I appreciate it.
kudos to
Thank
on
you.
that.
He was absolutely a game changer, and that's not with any disrespect to previous vocalists. It's like a game changer for us to come in and just kind of like put in the grind, put in the time, and just he's always sending us lyrics and stuff, and just like showing your investment. It always feels like a big deal in the band.
Nice.
It's like,
Like
hey,
he
check out this
cares.
crazy
Yeah.
alligator sizzle bacon dial-up router thing that I just figured out how to learn. Here's like a 20-second video. Like here,
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
like,
I
let's use
definitely. I sometimes feel like it's too much though. I'm always sending them. I'm just like, hey guys, hey, what's going on? Like that's not even anything I do, but how does it sound? Oh, that's pretty cool. Work on it. I'm like, all right, whatever.
that's
Okay,
great.
I guess so. Let's do it.
Okay,
It's
so-
good to have diversity in this style of music with the guys as technical as they are in their respective instruments.
Right.
Like, you don't want to be a two-tone Timmy
Exactly.
in this
absolutely.
genre. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of for the older death metal, the 85 Tampa death metal or to the 90 death metal. But
I mean, that old school, new school shit's coming,
coming
back, though.
back,
Like
yeah.
200 Stab Wounds, Frozen Soul. Like I can actually deal with their like kind of basic vocals just because
Sure.
their music's so fucking sweet and slangy and shit.
Especially, I definitely dig 200 Stab Wounds.
Yeah.
Like I've seen Frozen Soul a couple times.
Yeah.
They throw down.
Yeah.
So like, that was sick.
That's the type of shit like No Cure. There's shit like that. That's kind of the comeback. It's just heavy hardcore fucking death metal shit. It's weird, but yeah. So if you want to fill, so there's a few gaps that I'm kind of missing though, because like,
Sure.
so you kind of got back with John, right? And you guys weren't serious, but then you're getting into your monitors, because so when you played in Neqriem before, it was just you
So
and
the
then
original,
a bunch of other people,
yeah,
right?
so like it's kind of, I'll go through the whole thing.
Yeah, I appreciate
so
it.
like from the beginning, when Neqriem became Neqriem, because it had some different working titles and kind of some, some people trying out and not working out and everything, but it was me, Leo, and Perry essentially, and then we needed a drummer, so we had my buddy Adam come and play some drums for us for a while.
Was he the guy with the glasses?
No, that was Luke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Adam,
Sorry, yeah,
no,
a
we played a couple shows with Adam, like some basement shows and some like I think our first show was at like Big Apple Bagel, like campus or something like. But it was like, I was definitely still getting some chops up, and meeting Leo, definitely hit it off with him because he's also left-handed, so we're both left-handed like string and instruments player. And he is a very smart musician, very well versed in like theory, and that definitely helped me a lot as well, because I have some of that background too, so being able to like figure out like what the cool like notes were and like the cool patterns and what that was, and like working on harmony and counterpoint and stuff. So we were kind of doing that, and we started to kind of write some better songs. Definitely big inspirations. I mean, from Necrophagus, Beneath the Massacre, Through the Eyes of the Dead, Faceless, Job for a Cowboy, all those bands. Like, and then we were practicing in like a storage shed, and then so I don't know who turned us on to Luke, but Luke played drums with us for a little bit, and then we're kind of like figuring stuff out. Then we moved into like the student ghetto, and that's when Caleb and Jake joined the band, because I always wanted a second guitarist. Guitar harmonies are sweet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
And he was really good, and he also came from, his flavor was different than what ours was, so it was kind of cool for us to kind of like, because a lot of that stuff that we were writing then was a little bit more of that like prog, gent, not really, but like progressive kind of polyrhythmic stuff, and kind of mixing everything together and really just kind of coming up with some cool songs, I think. And then Luke ended up being our drummer. We wanted Sperry. Sperry came over and he tried out for a couple songs, and it was awesome. Like, we were playing like Necrophagus, but he was living in Coloma, I think, at the time.
Yeah, I was living out in Coloma, so the commute was bad, and that was back in the apartment time. So like, I didn't want to leave my kit down on like Vine all the time. So like, I didn't have the time to put into Neqriem what it needed.
Okay.
Like,
all right, it's coming together now.
But yeah, and then so we were just like, fuck it, like we're just gonna start playing shows and just get out there and make a go for it. And things with Luke, like they worked sometimes and sometimes they didn't, and it's just kind of like a growing pains things, like everybody's lease was up, like people were moving, this and that, and I wasn't 100% happy with how everything was going, and so I tried to make my best decision, and we kind of broke up, like me, Leo, and Perry, and Luke. I just kind of like started doing stuff with Caleb more, and Adam actually was playing drums again with us, and we were writing songs. We did that 3-song EP with the old crappy logo that's on the
red logo,
the white logo that had like the 3-song thing on it, and we were playing a couple old songs that we had written in that time.
That thing's buried on the SoundCloud.
I see. Is it the one with Forever Enslaved?
Yeah. Yep. That one was the one. Okay, so let me backtrack just a second, because when Caleb joined, he was like friends with Cameron from Born of Osiris. So that was kind of where that like kind of tie-in was.
A good connection to have.
Yeah, and so that's like our first 3-song EP. I think it's only on SoundCloud. Like, I don't have access to it anymore. Those were songs that we did. Like, we went to Chicago and stayed at their like house and stuff, which was pretty cool, and drank Jameson and like partied with them and like recorded. So, that was kind of like a good boost. So we kind of took that from our momentum, and then that's where we got Luke to play drums and playing around where we could. But yeah, then fast forward, it was me and Caleb and Adam for a couple years, and we were writing songs, and then we did that second 3-song EP. But then more growing pains came along, and we're just kind of like, all right, well, these are the kind of drums that we want. It's not 100% apparent that it's going to be this way with what we have, so me and Caleb just were doing the thing by ourselves, like programming drums
and shit.
Mm-hmm. Programming drums, programming bass, like recording guitars, and his brother Jake did all the vocals. So we did that 3-song, and then we did Triptych in 2019, and then I think it was 2019. I'm pretty sure
It was.
2019. And then so that's like a lot of what we're playing off of for this kind of circuit, But yeah, we did that, and then COVID happened, and Caleb had moved, and he was not as around for me and him to riff and stuff as much, and so he's like, hey, like Recorruptor hit me up and they want me to play guitar.
Yeah.
Like, are you cool with that? Like, I'll still be in Neqriem. I was like, yeah, dude, it's fine, whatever. And then, writing's on the wall with that. Eventually, it's like, it's fine. He ended up just like, Neqriem, he's like, I don't really see it going anywhere right now, or, I have a lot of stuff to do with Recorruptor.
Yeah.
And so, he decided to do that full time, which is fine. Like, I'm still really good friends with Caleb and Jake and all that. But, and then that's where it was just kind of like, okay, like, but by that time, Sperry and I were actually connected, because he would come down for a couple jams, and then and then it just kind of didn't work out for him. But me and Sperry just like hit it, and we're just like, you know what, like, we're getting pretty tight, and Sperry's an awesome drummer, and I was just like really diving into like figuring out how to do like at home recording stuff, like working on like a live set with like backing tracks, and so I was just like, we're just gonna go, let's just do a show, just like me, you, and I think Perry was doing vocals for us for a while.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he was.
But then Perry was with Locust, and he's like, I gotta do Locust full time, guys, and like, that's fine. And then Jake moved back up here. This was on like 2020 or 2021 or whatever. So he was doing vocals, and then I ran into Leo again because I was getting lunch at like this ramen shop in Kalamazoo, and I was like, oh, dude, like, you still got your bass? And he was like, yeah, I got my bass, like kind of being like, not sure if he wanted to do the band thing again. But I was like, if I could get him over once, if I could get him over once, I was like, dude, we still play, all these songs, and then that was kind of it. And so we had bass, we had vocals, we had drums, we had guitar, and then our buddy Wade actually came over to John's house and helped wire up some electricals for us, so we weren't running on, like, how it is, you like plug an extension cord upstairs,
Yeah.
like
It
run it
was
down
bad.
so
It
it
was
doesn't trip
bad.
the breaker,
Yeah,
and then he joined, and we started playing shows, and we started writing, and we did Elagos. Wade's on that track, and Jake, was a good vocalist, but he wasn't in it, and he didn't want to let us down, but he also didn't want to do it, so we just kind of had to have that conversation where I was like, like, you got great tone, like, we're good friends, but like, if you don't want to do it, man, like, it's cool, like. And so he quit, and then that's when we got Erick, essentially. And then Erick's here, yay!
Hey, here I am.
Awesome.
Hi guys.
So you guys consider yourself a melodic technical death metal band, if you had to put it on it, right? Because that's what your bio
Yeah,
says,
yeah.
basically.
That's just what makes the most sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we can
I
add
think
any other subgenre on there too. You know what I mean?
I think that nails it right on the head right there.
Yeah.
I want to kind of, we'll talk a little bit about you guys' discog, but you had mentioned something, I'll just say it right now, you had mentioned something about the harmonies, and that's one thing going through you guys' music that stuck out, was just all those cool harmonies that you use, and like, they could be different, a fifth or a third or whatever, you don't use the same ones every time, but they're
Right.
just them two double guitar harmonies to me, I was like, man, that is really badass. So
Yeah.
the melodic part definitely tracks, well,
Yeah.
technical too, but I mean, technicality's all, subjective, but that, you guys have a lot of great melody, but we'll go into it a little bit deeper here if you don't mind.
Sure.
So we talked about the self-titled EP. That's just a Neqriem one that came out in February 9th, 2018.
Yeah, that's the white
Yeah.
one with one of our older.
The one on
logos.
Bandcamp is black, but
Yeah.
Black and red.
yeah, black,
Black
and
and-
red.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then.
But I also
might
see
have got rid of that one then because I
Yeah.
didn't like that logo.
the Spotify shows it in the black and white.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Because I just listened to your stuff on Bandcamp, and I mean, I thought the stuff was great. Great melody. Forever Enslaved, like with the clean guitar at the beginning and everything. Really cool fucking track.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that song anymore, but
I mean,
it's cool. It's like, you know what? Like, let's just do like an 8-minute like epic. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
why not?
But and then for me, if I'm not mistaken, then there was something in between that and the triptych.
I think Triptych was the next.
Okay, so
was the
that
next
came
one.
out October 21st, 2019.
Yeah.
And then Steven Stover, Caleb Sussman, Jake Sussman, and Cameron Losh.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. Because he did like 4 tracks for drums for us. Like I just like midied out some and sent it to him for like an idea,
Okay.
and then he like redid like 4 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
And vocals on that was Jake then?
That was Jake.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
This particular, because this is like kind of your greatest body of work that you have out there with the most music, at least that you can
Oh, absolutely.
get. You know, I've noticed you guys are very guitar driven as far as like the riffs leading the charge, the technicality. You know, it's like
Mhm.
but obviously the drums are all syncopated and are really tight with it. But it's very guitar driven music with the technicality and the sweeps and the melodies. It's just
Yeah.
like
well,
that
it was
guitar
it was
is
2
just-
guitarists
Yeah.
writing the album
Yeah.
essentially. You know,
Right.
so it was just kind of like that's why we tried and have some outside musicianship with like an actual drummer.
Yeah.
But and then the bass, I think we just midied the bass. and-
Okay.
But yeah.
I-
Just
I-
trying to keep that flame burning, you know what I
Right.
mean? It was just like, if it's just me or if it's like, all of us, like just trying to keep it going just because I love it.
Definitely Steve that had kept Neqriem alive.
I was gonna say
over its lifetime.
Nick
Definitely
and I
Steve.
understand that for sure,
Yeah.
man.
Mhm.
So I do like how there was space. Like there were some vocals on there, but like the last 2 tracks are very musical heavy too. Like very instrumental. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the triptych is an actual instrumental
Entirely
song.
instrumental.
Yeah.
But that was more or less like we just kind of ran out of time and like
Okay.
studio time and.
It really was
Erick
as an
actually,
instrumental.
well, that was part of one of his things when he joined was having him write lyrics and do like vocal patterns for that song. So he does have lyrics for it, and we're in the works with trying to get some other things done with that. Get Erick on more of our stuff, you know,
okay.
as well as writing and putting out new stuff and everything. But yeah.
Okay. Cool. So I enjoyed that, and then you guys, the newest single, Elagos, that's how you say it, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
And that came out last November 2023, November 10th.
Yes, sir.
And that was that. So that's your first time ever recording anything?
No. I actually had a 3-song EP I did with my band Lead the Fallen all those years ago, and then in the first band that I was in, we did a really, really awful home recording with like a like a comforter around in a corner, and then some like the padding that you use on the wall from like the bed and all that whatnot. So it was just real janky. So not the first time, no, but with these guys, yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about the production? Because I know you said you got into it. What was Black Ops Studio going back to the Triptych?
The Triptych stuff, so we recorded that stuff with Corey Alexander. He did that. I think it was like Qua Productions is what he called it. I don't know if it still is or not. But we actually did the 2018 3-song with him there. And then when we did Triptych, we had him engineer it, and then we had another one of our associates named Colin Pompey. He did the mastering and the vocals on that. So I apologize if I'm not remembering everybody's like studio name correctly
right.
and everything,
Yeah,
but I do
gotcha.
remember Corey's thing was like Qua Productions, like QUA. But then so for the Elagos stuff, my coworker Steve, he has like a home studio, and he also has like an offsite studio where like we actually like recorded like live drums. Like Sperry went there and like set up his
Nice.
kit
Yeah,
and
it
like
was-
Oh yeah.
recorded live drums, and then we did guitar and bass over at Steve's house, and Erick did vocals, and kind of we had some MIDI stuff or some backline stuff, then gave it to him and reamped it and just kind of made the song. And
It was really nice going out to like, that was the first time that I had personally been in a studio situation like that recording drums, where like it felt you know, like it was relaxed, but it felt professional.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there was, you know, do you want to try different snares? You know, try different tunings. Just like, you know, taking like we were moving along, but like took the time to make sure like I was comfortable and like stuff was gonna work. Like that was a good experience. And I think it was called Bent Gate Studio out in Delton. So like I did great work out there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was a great time recording Elagos, and it's fun having something out there with Erick on it too, which is nice.
Yeah, I love it. I can't wait to get down on some more stuff.
So
It's coming.
So what's the what was the idea just to get a single out because you guys have been jamming? You want to get something with Erick out,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Yep.
Or?
You know, like we had Wade in the fold, and you know, we're all like kind of figuring out like, okay, just really just trying to mature our sound and really just kind of find that, you know, that magic formula, I guess. And, you know, because through the whole discography and through my playing especially, like, you know, my writing style has changed over the years, you know, and it still is. And, you know, just trying to kind of like, you know, have that every successful band has the sound, you know what I mean? And like that's kind of what it was. It was like, okay, like we're all gonna get together and try and like kind of coin like this new like Neqriem sound and like what works and, you know, what we want to push ourselves with, what we're comfortable with, what's good with mixing that and trying out new ideas and stuff like that. So
it's kind of nice though because it all just came right together. We didn't really have to try too hard to try to, you know, find some kind of compilation. It was just a very smooth process.
Yeah,
That was really
definitely
awesome.
felt very, very organic.
Yeah, very
like,
natural.
throughout it, like-
yeah, Wade brought a lot of the riffs, like the good riff ideas, and I got them and kind of sat down and like tinker-toyed with it and kind of worked on structure and bouncing it back and forth between everybody, scratch tracks, tabs, you know, stuff like that. And then I was like, okay, like we dig this, and then we just recorded it. So
What was that the first song that you guys had wrote? You were just like, we're writing this together. This is how it's going to go, and then we're going to go record it.
Yep.
Like you didn't have 7 songs, and you were like, we picked this one.
Yeah, that was just kind of because the Triptych album from 2019 like had never really been played live, so like there was still
Right.
there was still a lot of juice to get out of those 6. Like nobody'd seen those live yet, so
Yeah,
like that was we were still wanting to get out and play those, but also simultaneously work on getting new songs to supplement into the set list. So that's kind of how Elagos came around. So it was like it took a little longer than we wanted to crank one out, but also just a combination of life stuff, work stuff.
Yeah,
playing
and we wanted to
shows.
play shows too.
Yeah,
Like that
trying
was
to get
kind
out
of
as much
it.
as we
Like
could.
we're just like we really wanted to start playing shows too, and you know, I was proud, and everybody, you know, liked the material and stuff. So you know, getting that out, but you know, just kind of getting back into that. Like, all right, we're still around. We're still a band. You know, let's get out there. Let's play. Let's, you know, network. Let's get fans. Let's do merch. You know, and then just kind of like get that momentum going, and then build off that. And that's kind of how I approach it.
Yeah.
At least.
I was
go ahead.
I was gonna say I was honestly really surprised to see that Neqriem was still a band. Once the band name started coming back around again, I was like, God, that takes me back to the Basement show in like 2013.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, you guys didn't have a lot of presence, and for various reasons, which you've kind of already gone through, like the lineup changes and you know, nailing down a full band. You know,
Yep.
but to see that you guys came back was welcome.
Yeah, you know, and for a while there, it was like, oh, everything's on the internet anyways, so let's just do that, you know.
Right.
Like, there's tons of, like, good bands that I like that, you know, they just don't really play shows, so we were trying to figure that out, but it's like, nah. Like,
Yeah,
like,
it feels
we wanna
better
play
to get on
shows.
stage.
Yeah,
man.
It really
Absolutely.
does.
talking with people. And,
That's kind of the point.
I
right?
went to Perry and Mouthful Locust when they had their first show when they were still a 3-piece, like, because I was in Neqriem again at that point, but we were just talking about doing that home thing. But then I went and saw him live, like at Papa's with their new setup, and just like being in that environment again. Like it was like, yeah, I want to do this again. Like I want to get back out here.
Fucking miss it.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
like you were
fuck
saying
yeah.
about Leo, it's like that snake bites you, it doesn't go away. You
Yeah.
might be
Yeah,
able
it
to,
fucking
you know,
gets ya.
forget about that poison for a little while, but that shit comes flowing right
Yeah.
back
Oh,
as
it
soon as
does
the blood
so
gets
bad.
pumping.
It absolutely is.
Absolutely.
I think that the part he was probably hesitant about was, you know, the trepidation or, you know, the worry that it might fail. Like, yeah, I don't want to get my hopes up for playing live again and doing this if it's not even going to happen.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
Right.
Like, I mean, and I felt that too, getting back into it just from having done Anacortes Burns before. And like, I had fun, but toward the end of that, I just got so burnt out on doing it and just
And that was also, I do remember that because me and you especially were like trying to like really push ourselves for like way more technical stuff, and like it's just a growing pains thing. Like some people want to do it this way or whatever, and you just kind of figure it out.
Yeah, you got to find that balance.
Yeah.
As like technical as your guys' music is, that's a lot of work to put in at home on your own time. And you don't want to show up one day at practice and one guy's basically checked out like, I don't want to do this anymore. Well, fuck off. I've been putting hours and hours of my life into this.
Absolutely. Like you want every practice, and I feel that responsibility to the guys in the band. Like, I want to be better, but like they're all at home grinding. So I'm like, just like you said, like you don't want to be the schlub that shows up to practice and it's like, I didn't really do shit, and everybody else is killing it, and you're fucking just dragging it down.
The last time I practiced was when we practiced last time. I don't like that at all.
No, me either. It's like you got to, especially in any sort of heavy music, anything that's even remotely, I don't know, if you just want to be tight in any kind of music field, you got to put the time in on your own. You got to put in the time.
It could be easy music, but you still got to have that muscle memory. You still
Absolutely.
You still got to play it. You got to know it like the back of your hand.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the beautiful parts about this band is that every one of us are 110% driven.
Yeah.
We all want the same thing.
Good.
And it's just we're relentless with it.
Yeah.
We just keep on and hammer it out and do better and keep on the grind like John was saying. But
it's really fun. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I do it all the time at practice
good,
too, so it's just like whatever.
It's all right.
It's really fun to feel yourself getting better as a musician because you're being pushed by everybody around you. And just like I know, like I practice Neqriem stuff all the time, but it's fun to like throw in just throw on a random Spotify mix and see what we can go through, and just from playing with these guys, some Origin or some Beneath the Massacre might come up, and I was like, I remember 3-4 years ago, I never even considered to try and play this, and now it's like, I can kind of do this a little bit. Like that's fun to feel the fruits of those labors.
Oh yeah, I remember coming over after shortly after we'd gotten the trigger set up in the PA, and you're like, hey dude, check this out, and you're like fucking double strokes. I was like, yeah, like hell yeah.
The double strokes are necessary. Man.
Absolutely.
Plus, I'm just old and I'll run out of energy if I try and single stroke.
Single stroke that fast.
I'll die.
Exactly. I do want to speak a little bit on the vocals on the Elagos. So I noticed, listening to the other music, the vocals they're good, but they're kind of just almost a couple tones or whatever. I feel like your vocals made Elagos grow a lot if it like compared to the last vocalist, because I'm noticing you have a little more of that guttural death metal when you do your low on there. Almost you can get into that like almost piggy like slam range a little bit when you're doing those lows, and I feel like your highs are a little more impactful. Not taking away from the vocals that were on anything else. I mean, there were good vocals or whatever, but I just feel like I'm hearing stuff from you that's a lot different and almost kind of fits you guys' music a little bit better with how technical your music is. You want your vocals to follow suit and be able to do all them snarls and weird vocals and all those things we talked to Zion about, all those wild vocals and that type of stuff, and just being able to judge you off of this one recording, I was really impressed by it, man. I mean,
I really appreciate it. Thank you. And that's just it. Like even since we released Elagos, I mean, it feels like forever ago. That's months of talking to Steve, and Steve's like, hey, man, I got a video. Check it out. Check out these vocals.
Yeah.
You don't have to do them. We like how you are. Just check it out, because I wanted to grow as a vocalist too. So since then, I'm now our next recording is going to be brutal, because I'm doing these like weird goblin-y, snarly kind of weird things now, and I'm doing a lot of stuff that I wasn't doing in there.
Nice.
So I've grown since then too, but I really appreciate it. Thank you, because we all work hard on it. It was a journey too, especially that first few months, because I had to learn all of the Triptych EP, and then there was a few other songs from before that I was learning and trying to learn the new stuff. So it was like 2.5-3 months of just hardcore grind, which is another reason we weren't able to get.
We did that on purpose.
Just kidding. Yeah, it's just like bogged me down. It's all right though. It was awesome. It was a great experience. So but since then these guys have pushed me a lot more to, just because I've expressed wanting to do more, and different kinds of things. These guys have had my back since day one. So without them, I wouldn't even be able to.
And that's one of the things that I loved about Erick when he first showed up was his expressiveness. It's like very like his, I call them like brush strokes, like with his like embellishing or his, and plus his stamina. Like this dude can like hold a scream for like a minute straight, like if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's insane.
Like, I catch myself listening a lot at practice. I'm like,
Yeah.
John, you missed that transition. Like, yeah, I was listening to Erick. Sorry.
Yeah, it's really good. And
I-
just like the mix of it, and like, yeah, it's fantastic.
We talk a lot about vocals on the show because they can really make or break something that I do enjoy or don't enjoy. Sometimes you
Absolutely.
get this vocal vomit that's just blah, blah, blah the whole
Yeah.
time. And I'm not a big fan of that. And I also don't, me personally, I don't feel like you have, just because you can do 38 vocals, you don't have to do them all in every song. Like,
Absolutely.
save some
Yeah.
of those for
Right.
just certain songs and certain parts,
Exactly.
and that's just going to make your vocals stand out completely. Like, oh, you only did that like once or twice on the CD, but that part's memorable. Instead of trying to do all 38 vocals you know how to do in 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's where a lot of this newer like deathcore and death metal shit is, and like I don't know. To me, that just irks me because I'm like, man, you could save those and make those spots memorable, just like you would with a cool drum fill or a cool sweepy pattern or something like that. It's like anything. If you use it too much, it's going to get overused, and it's just going to be another thing that blends into the background. You know.
Absolutely, because it's like because like we were just on the way down here, we were scrolling through Cal Decapitation, trying to find certain songs because of certain vocal things, that, like certain little things, little vocal fills that Travis Ryan did in there, and it's just like it's nice to know you have that huge bag of ammunition, but like you said, you don't have to do it in every song.
Exactly.
It just becomes too much.
And
Yeah,
to
it
touch
sounds
on
chaotic. You're just trying to stuff a whole bunch of shit into a tiny bag.
Yeah.
It's gonna rip out. You know,
Yeah.
like
And for me too, like from being like a writer of the music, I remember back in the day where it was like, okay, we got 20 riffs, let's make a song, and you're trying to like fit stuff together, whatever, because that's kind of what you got. But like the approach now is like, okay, we got one good riff, like let's make a song out of that riff.
There you go.
Yeah.
Here's like another riff, like making a song out of one instead of like having 20 songs worth of material.
Yeah.
into one
But
thing.
butting riffs together, they don't
Absolutely.
really go together.
Yeah,
Right.
then you just end up with like garbage transitions into
And
each.
weird
It's like,
time changes and shit that are just like awkward and strange.
And of Curtis Burns, we were real. We definitely did a lot of the. Let's just let this note ring out. We don't really know what to do here. Just like, screw it. Just let it ring out.
Yeah, we're
But-
figuring it out too,
Yeah,
and
we're
like
young, dumb, but yeah.
And making those decisions is important because sometimes less is more. We talk about that a lot,
All the
you know.
time.
So like
Absolutely.
maybe you need just that one that the notes ring out, but maybe you don't need that in every song. You
Yeah.
know? So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you got to know when to make those decisions.
And
So.
I try to, especially as from a drumming standpoint, because I mean, as much as I love to do just like double kicks and blasts all day long, I try and make sure I have dialogue with all the other guys in the band. Like, hey, do you want this riff to breathe more?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, do you want me to back out? Because if you want me to go nuts, I'll go nuts as much as I can. But like, if you want me to back out, tell me. Like,
Yeah.
tell me. I don't want to step
would-
on people's toes.
and
I
like
want
having
would tell
like
space.
you and
Awesome.
bass,
Yeah,
like
I want
you and
everybody to
bass
have
locking
space.
in too. Like because Leo writes some really cool, like interesting, like counterpoint stuff to what guitar's doing, and like very rhythmic oriented, and like locking in with John on that is also really sweet.
That's been a huge learning experience for me as having been in bands before. And I say this to Leo, and I say it to everybody, is like I've played with bass players before, but not a bassist.
Right.
Like Leo is a true artisan of his craft,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just like he'll be in the middle of practice and be like, hey, I was thinking about doing this, like
Yeah.
8-finger tap thing. We're like, just do that all the time. Like, yeah, you can do whatever
It's
you
like
want.
you don't need to ask
don't
us
need to
permission
ask
for
us.
anything.
Mod's even more disappointed now that he's not here.
Oh man,
He's like, my kind of bass player. God
Yeah.
damn it.
Show me them
it's-
tats.
We'll do another one.
Yeah, for sure.
gonna have us back.
Yeah, he can
It's-
sit. He can sit right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Scoot
Squeeze
you
him
around
in.
here,
Yeah.
Steve, on
Yeah.
my
Go
side.
around.
I won't.
buddy.
Yeah, I won't even.
Rhythm
I'll just be
section
in the
stays over
closet.
here.
Guitar player, you can come over on the guitar player
Eric
side. buddy.
just peeks through the door sometimes, like, oh, hey,
Bass only.
get out of here.
we're all
is for musicians.
High five. High five. Leo,
Yeah.
high five, buddy.
You're doing great,
Got
Leo.
Got your back.
good.
So let's talk a little bit about Wade. Now he's made his departure from the band,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
Sir.
What does that look like then for you guys? I know you want that other guitar player.
Yeah. We're taking our time with it this time. Like, there's always irons in the fire, but for what we're focusing on, especially with trying to, write more material, we got, a bunch of stuff that we're figuring out and, finding out time. Like, okay, like what does our itinerary look like with shows and with like recording our single that we're working on now and like getting new stuff lined up. It's just easier and a little bit more streamlined just with less people to
Always.
kind of, you know, and since we play to like in-ears, like we have like an in-ear click when we play live, and we have like backing track stuff set up, like, you know, like the cool stuff that's, you know, synth or bass drops or, you know, all that stuff. We're playing live to that anyway. So I was just like, okay, like after we talked with Wade and, you know, we're all super tight, like he's still a really good friend of mine and with all of us and stuff. And I was just like, well, I mean, I have the opportunity. I'll just, you know, record second guitar. So we have that live because, you know, to serve the music, and like I want us on stage to play as best and have that Neqriem sound come across as much as possible. So without having at least the parts there, just for me, because I'm a guitar player, I love the harmonies, you know, and we put the time into it and, you know, the work, and, you know, however that comes across to everybody else, like it's important for me to have that as well.
That makes sense.
You guys feel like you'll write out this next batch of songs just with you then, and then continue the search for a second guitarist, or is that still kind of up in the air? And
we've
talked about
with
it
the backing track.
Yeah, and not to spill too many beans or anything like that. Like we know people and we're talking, you know, but it's very like, you know, you're not coming in right away. You know, we're just gonna see how it is. Like, see, you know, because personality is a big deal too, because we're all super tight.
Just going to that word.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, making sure that, you know, because you could be an amazing player, but if you're a piece of shit, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
so,
no one wants to hang out with you. Then
it
don't matter how good you are.
Yeah,
some people, how you conduct yourself, like, in public, you know, representing the band, you know, like, we're very much like, you know, we're all individuals and we all have our fun, but, like, when we're out as a unit, you know, it's not, I'm not Steve, I'm, you know, Steve from Neqriem, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's a very kind of like a professional thing.
Yeah,
that's good to hear.
It's definitely still a business, you know, so it's,
I
mean, to
try to be.
Right, I mean, to go in there and act as professional as possible. Well, have fun and not be uptight about it, but just to go in there ready to do what we got to do, be smart, play smart, you know, not act belligerent.
Some
things
people
like that.
They still have that kind of like Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, rock star mentality. Like, I'm in a band, I'm above the law, I'm gonna act however I want in this venue. You want to be invited back?
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a big deal to conduct yourself like in a like you said. Everybody has some fun, you know. But there's like a line you have to draw. Like, you're not Black Sabbath. You're not Led Zeppelin.
You're not that special. So you can't act like that.
And I love local music too. Like, every band that we play with, like, you know, I love hanging out, getting to know people, you know, like seeing what kind of gear, like I'm a gear hound too. So it's like, oh, like what kind of gear do you got? You know, like what strings do you use? What tuning do you know, like it's just very like fun. Like, that's my whole life. I mean, I work on guitars for a living.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so it's like everything basically in my life is like guitar and music, you know.
Yeah.
And always learning, and this person knows something or does something a little bit different. Like, like cool idea, you know.
Yeah.
I love like he said about being a gear nerd. Like, I always, as a drummer, I always kind of feel that urge. Like, hey, if you're cool, let me help you get your stuff off the stage. Like, I understand, so like I'll help you move your stuff. And I'm always like, I love asking about gear. Like, I just like, you know, Zach from Phil Spewer. Like, him and I have a lot of the same gear and a lot of the same setup. So like, we love to grill each other about that. And so it's cool finding like kindred gear spirits on top of just like kindred people who are into metal and stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Love all that nerd stuff.
That makes sense. So you alluded a little bit to you guys' current writing process. I'm interested because for a long time you took the helm of it, right? It was like your thing, so you're writing however you wanted to write, but now you're saying you're taking maybe a cool riff and you're developing it.
Yes.
What does that look like, and what does that look like with Erick and John and Leo back in the mix, you know?
So it's very much still, you know, I kind of start me personally, I feel like my writing style really took a step up when we did Triptych, just kind of being able to like kind of serve the song and like kind of try and capture an emotion or, you know, or whatever of that, and just not make it too convoluted, but still having it be technical and fun. So now it's just, I mean, a lot of the times I'll just like, even at practice, I'll just be like, everyone will be done and I'll set up my guitar and then like I'll just start riffing something and then it's just like, what is that? You know what I mean? And then we'll get like a video, like Sperry will take a video or Erick or whatever, and and then I'll go home, and then I'll just like, you know, I'll get some scratch track stuff, and then a lot of it too is you know, doing like Tux Guitar or Guitar Pro, like tabbing stuff out, because that's how, you know, Leo and I communicate a lot as well, because, you know, like I said, he's a savant, and, you know, him being able to look at the staff and the notation and everything, you know, really helps him help compose and, you know, find his place with bass and stuff. And plus it's also really good to, like, you know, if I got like 30 seconds of something, and if I don't really know where else to go, like having it tabbed out and you can press play and it like sounds like a song kind of, and gives me ideas, and then just kind of build on that, and then I get like a scratch track and I send it to the guys, and we all just kind of start working on it a little bit, and then, you know, we'll rehearse our set and kind of, you know, free jam or do whatever, and then we're like, okay, like, are we comfortable with this? Like, let's kind of start doing this. You know, we'll work at it piece by piece, or, you know, go until everybody's lost or whatever, you know, and then sometimes too, even like cool ideas come out of that as well. So
we've gotten in the habit a lot more of trying to record us, even just like when we're just donking around, fucking off, just like, cause we'll just be riffing or something and be like, oh damn, that was pretty cool, that thing you did there, and like anybody who did it's like, I can't remember what the hell I did.
That's always the
like,
case.
yep, it's
Every
gone.
time without fail.
Like without fail. So like we've been trying to get better about recording that, and just I usually wait for Leo and Steve to kind of flesh a lot of the riffs out. Like we all have input into it, because a lot of it kind of happens in real time, like in the practice space. But like we'll kind of find that one kind of roll with that, and then I usually wait for a scratch track to come in that has maybe not the final necessarily construction of it, but with a click track, and just kind of how we're kind of fleshing it out right there. Because my writing style is more the sit down and listen a lot, and then just grind on it, just kind of play it over and over and over again until I feel more comfortable in the time frame, and then I can just kind of, you know, free ball around in it a little bit more. So that's kind of how I roll with it.
And then when you're in the room, everybody's ideas are welcome, or like
never.
Absolutely.
No, Steve is a tyrant.
No. Yeah, no, it's, you know,
like every idea, even if we're like, maybe not, we'll still try it. We'll just give it a shot,
yeah,
just
it's
because
always worth a try, man.
Absolutely. And we value each other, so everybody's input is important to each other.
Yeah, that's good.
So having a
like
chance
that.
to do that, yeah.
Steve and I have
absolutely.
been playing together for a long time, so it's nice. It's also nice with everybody on top of just me and Steve. But like if somebody gets an idea that doesn't necessarily jive, well, they're going with nobody gets all butthurt about it. It's like, oh, okay,
It
that
just
doesn't
don't
work.
yeah,
like
we'll just like table that, and we'll use it for another song.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
you know,
I've added blasts in it apart, or like where Steve will be in a solo, and Steve just kind of looks at me and it's kind of like. I'm like, okay, yeah, like no worries, like yeah,
Noted.
why not? Yeah, that was kind of. I thought that kind of might have been too much, so I was like, yep, done.
That was a
Noted.
reach.
Yep. Like, oh crap.
So real quick on songwriting, because your guys' stuff is so technical, do you feel like it takes a little bit longer to complete a song, and say from here's the first riff to all right, stamp, done, finished, moving on? Do you feel like
a little bit for sure?
Or is it just a matter of just finding the next? I mean, there's technicality, which is like, oh god, this is kind of hard to play, and then there's just like, what riff does it need next?
Yeah, it's kind of both, but I mean, for me, I kind of have like ADD too, because like, I mean, on my laptop, I have like tons of like old, you know, riffs that I was like kind of messing with, but then I'd find something else and kind of shelf that, you know. So like there's a lot of material. Like the biggest thing is really just like, you know, sitting down and just figuring out like what the three parts are, you know what I mean? Like finding that like beginning, middle, end, and like how, you know, the riff kind of carries through the whole thing, but also so that's the hardest challenge, I think, for a lot of people too, is just, you know, at least for me, I'm like, you know, it needs to be what the song, like it needs to serve the song, and if it takes a little bit of time, like we're still working on like a couple of them too, you know, and then it just kind of is like, okay, whatever one that we're all happiest with and have the most progress with, like then we'll just work on that one.
I mean, we got one in the works right now that I had written lyrics to and just expressed ideas, and Steve was like, all right, man, give me a minute. And a few days later, he's like, I got some really cool ideas and parts for that. So
Yeah,
we
so
do
with
like
lyrics too,
we approach
yeah.
it like all sorts of ways if we can. I know I'm personally trying to write more like uniquely, I guess, to fit a lot of the way that our music is going, because especially from like Triptych to Elagos and everything we're working on now is pretty different. Like it's that Neqriem sound, but it's that like level up.
Yeah, I feel our stuff now is just like, it's still melodic, but I feel like it's definitely a little bit more evil, I guess, sounding, or a little bit,
I'm in.
you know, yeah, it's just like, I don't, any word that you want to use, more heavy, more evil, or, you know, more classic or whatever. But
I think it also comes from just now with us being kind of a solidified core, just kind of like our writing direction. We're all figuring out, you know, it's like, because we're melodic tech death, but it's also kind of, you know, we would sometimes get in the habit of like over teching things.
Yeah.
Like we'll be sitting there jamming and it's like we're just doing like too much.
Yeah.
that does happen.
That
too,
does
yeah.
that. Yeah.
That happened with Elagos. There was parts where we were like, I was like, we should probably simplify this down a little bit. And I'm like, no,
No,
but,
it's gotta be.
but it works. Yeah. And then it makes the song better, you know, and
It's
that's
hard.
And that's
Yeah.
that is another thing, is deciding when it's important to make the sacrifices in the music that you're creating to serve the purpose of it, so it's not like saturated with just a bunch of extra bullshit.
Look what I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want it to be
Not-
a wank fest the entire
Yeah.
time.
No.
Not many
Absolutely not.
people give a shit about that. They want to
It's
hear a cool song. I
like-
mean,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
us at this table might care about that,
Yeah.
but like we're a very, very small percentage. So you
Yeah.
gotta think of the people that
True.
are actually going to enjoy your music.
Well, and then look
Yeah.
at how the scene is now. You know,
Yeah.
it's slam,
Yeah.
deathcore stuff, which I love. Like I, it's amazing. But that is another thing too, is thinking about like, okay, like it can sound super cool and think it's great for us, but like, what is the listener gonna get
Yeah.
away from it? You know, like
Mhm.
let's have some parts where they can dance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like headbang and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and just finding that balance is kind of where we are now. You know.
The biggest part of this music, technicality or simplicity or otherwise, it's all about attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of the draw to the music. Like that's your attitude.
Mhm.
That's what I want to listen to. So with easier music, you can oversimplify things real quick, and
Mhm.
your band is going to be like a one-trick pony right out the gate. You're like, oh yeah, we do this riff 10 different ways
Yep.
all the time.
Right.
And with you guys, you can go the other end with it, where it's like, okay, that was so technical, I didn't catch a bit of that. We need to dial
Right.
some of that back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once you get it, because when it's your baby, you're just gonna want to riff on that all day. Oh,
Yeah,
how can I make this riff
absolutely.
better? How can I
Yep.
make this riff
Yep.
better?
Yeah.
I'm gonna extend this phrase. I'm gonna add more notes here.
Oh, we get
More
caught in that a lot
harmonies.
still.
Yep.
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 Absolutely.
And then everybody's like, where's the song, bro? So
Yeah.
you need to find where your skill ceiling kind of hits your floor. Like bring it back down to like, okay, can we just have a song here? Can we just have a chord progression here and strip it down? And it's hard. It's really hard to find that balance.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Oh.
But it does lead me to this question. I wanted to ask about songwriting and your formula. You said kind of like beginning, middle, end. Is that how you look at it? Or because sometimes Jay and I, we talk about songwriting, we talk about terms of like verse, chorus, or verse, pre-chorus, chorus,
Yeah.
and then having callbacks.
Yeah.
Are you more of like a melody, just, okay, here's the theme, and we're going to shift it? Or do you would like to have some callbacks? I felt like I heard a few.
Yeah,
callbacks,
there's
but,
definitely
there's a
callbacks.
few.
Yeah. So that's bringing it back to the riff. You know what I mean? Like, what is the main like kind of riff, or like the intro riff, or the hook? You know, and building on that and being like, okay, like what kind? You know, like in Elagos, it's kind of like a cool like hammer on like ascension kind of part, and then we're adding in like some tremming stuff. So it's like, okay, like those in my brain are two different parts, so we can kind of play on, you know, that kind of maybe hammer on style further in the song as like a transition, you know. And here's like in this song, there's like our breakdown that we kind of bring back 3 times, but each time we bring it back, it's a little bit different, a little bit heavier, a little bit more drawn out. So, you know, that's kind of what it is. It's like finding those like themes, and it could be like, okay, this is, you know, sometimes we'll do like verse chorus, or like a verse, or like a long chorus thing, but it's just kind of like, I don't know, for me, like I never start out that way. But sometimes it turns into that, like, you know, this riff maybe is played for 30 seconds at the beginning and then it never comes back again.
Yeah.
Or maybe this riff is like we use it as a motif, and we kind of like bring it back like through the whole kind of song like a couple times. And you know, and that's just kind of one of the fun things about it, like just kind of having that, you know, no real formula, but kind of a formula.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask this question to kind of jump off Nick's then. How do you know when you're done with a song then?
You don't.
Okay.
That's
I
the
thought
truth.
that was the answer I was going to get.
That's
but-
100% legit. We really don't.
It's done. Yeah, the song is done when we can all play it together, and we're all like, "Fuck yeah!" Like
You're
at the end,
that's
it was
3.5
like, okay. I
minutes
was like,
of
cool.
us in sync. That
Yeah.
song's done.
Yeah.
Like, yep, I think we're good. We don't need to like drag it out anymore. It doesn't
Yeah.
need to be like a minute 30 either. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just kind of finding where everybody that comfy zone where, like you said, talking about callbacks and stuff. Like, we call back to a certain riff. We kind of make that a little heavier, slower. Like, would that be a good spot to like set off back to, kind of thinking about what the listener is hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you still want to play music that's really fun for you to play
Yeah.
at the end of the day. But like you said, yeah, you think about like, man, if people are just fucking getting down at the end of this riff and we leave them with that, like, I feel like that might stick with them.
Yes.
And, like, come back to that song again, be like, oh, that fucking song with a heavy ass fucking riff at the end. Like,
Yes.
but yeah, just like sometimes it's kind of a crapshoot. Sometimes at practice, like, oh, are we done? We just kind of like look at each other and like, I think. And then
Yeah.
just-
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So, when I had seen you guys play live, I know you got the Kempers, and you talked about the in-ear situation.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me a little bit about that, like as far as how that works, pros and cons.
Yeah, so the way I set it up is, the Kemper, it's basically my amp, and I have my foot switch and stuff, but I run our laptop with it, so we have like a Shure PSM system, and everybody has their body pack, and then I have that running into my interface, because my interface has like a right and left, so the click is going straight into the right from, I have it panned on because I use Studio One. So everything that's open, everything that's not click is going left, which would
Okay.
be like front of house. And then, so when I press space and we play, everything is together with the click and real time. That was just like the easiest way that I figured it out. So everybody has click in their ear. And then Sperry has his own mixer where he can mix in his triggers so he can hear his kicks.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then, so we practice that way for rehearsal with all of us together. And I mean, like when I'm at home and I'm playing, I'm always playing to a metronome. It's just kind of one of those things like that it's just kind of become part of my practice, part of my writing, everything, doing scratch tracks, always kind of have to have that. But, we haven't really run into any huge issues yet, like with like phasing with like the front of house or anything like that. Everything works well, which is great. But sometimes if you get a bad start or something, like then you gotta stop, you gotta restart,
Yeah.
and you gotta like kind of play it off quickly,
Yeah.
But that's kind of the only really big issue that I've ever noticed with it. But we're able to just kind of play it off and just get back onto it. And that just kind of goes back to everybody else's work ethic with it. Like everybody is just, practiced up like always.
Yeah.
So where it's just super tight as much as possible.
It feels like, especially after coming back into Neqriem and like doing the first few shows and getting those jitters out, like just how, especially getting these core group of dudes down, like it feels comfortable going to a show. Like you don't feel like, I don't think I'm going to be rushed or like, oh my God, is this going to work? Is this going to work? Like we've refined our stuff enough. I think at least with our stuff, there's always stuff that you can refine better.
Yeah.
But I really
More
think
gear.
yeah. Well, we got the trailer, so we can haul that crap around,
Yeah.
which was great at that super tiny venue we just played, which was awesome. But just
It
like
was.
yeah, not good trailer parking. But
So with respect to the click tracks and the metronome, I didn't get a chance to like master your music in my mind and know all the changes. Is
Sure.
it just set to like one tempo and go, or is it mapped out because there's slight tempo changes or different counts where you? Because my biggest curiosity as a spectator is like, is it just one tempo clicking the whole way through, or do you have to know, hey, on 4 go, we all go together, we all jump in. And then if you don't, you're fucked. Like,
Right. Yeah. So
like,
Yeah.
start it over.
Yeah.
oh,
yeah.
shit.
Most of all of our stuff is one tempo the whole way through. There
Okay.
are a couple songs where we will switch like halfway through or, one tempo to start with and, the middle is slower and the end is faster. But kind of like thinking about that ahead of time, even before we had the idea to run click tracks. Like, even just to play along with it, there's always like kind of like a buffer, like, you know, measure or two where you can kind of like count it out, or you know when things are gonna, like, the transition's gonna hit, and stuff like that. And you know, if we're changing a lot of our stuff that we do is like odd time signatures. So if it's like, you know, 5 to 6 to 4 to 5, or you know, you can divvy that up. No matter, it could be 9, but like the phrasing is split up a little different. That's usually kind of more what we mess with, is more of like a time signature thing.
Okay.
Usually try to keep it one tempo though, if possible, because that is just another thing that's just like if you're trying to slow it down, but like we play our song Ritual like live, and we do a thing that's not on the recording where we do slow it down, like at the end, like kind of bringing back that, like, you know, that old school like breakdown vibe. And you know, we have it stepping down like at like a pretty comfortable, like held out chord tremming part, to where we can feel it slow down a little bit, and then like kind of all come back on together with it. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a lot of practice at home is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
This keeps coming back to that, like how much each one of us grinds at home. And like I said, like it'll be, especially Steve, because he's got little ones, so he's at like 1 or 2 in the morning downstairs. Well, that's the time that he has. So, but like he still gets down there and grinds and does all that stuff. So yeah, it's awesome that everybody puts all their time in, puts the time in they can.
What happens if the click track disappears?
Everybody looks at me.
Yeah. I mean,
it's my job. So
I mean, I know that we're all comfortable enough. Like, if for whatever reason, even if the click didn't work, we would just kind of, you know, raw dog it, like go just.
So
play
you're
the Sperry.
able to do that.
Oh yes, for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
personally, for me, a bit more so, because I didn't even start using in-ears until like, I don't know, what was it, like 2 months ago? Like when I started the first like 8-9 months of the band, I didn't even use it. So that was interesting.
It was a learning experience, and like we were, I don't want to say adamant, like we were like a tyrant about it. Like we wanted him to use them, and it wasn't because he was off. Like we had our clicks the whole time. It was pretty nuts how on he was all the time with no metronome. But it was just kind of like moving forward. He was just like, yeah, you know, we're gonna be doing more technical stuff. So it's just like it'll help me be on time, and you know, just back to like me having my kicks in my ears. Like if I'm not gonna have a monitor or a good monitor set up, like he can now have him in his ears. Yeah. So like if he doesn't have, you know, the monitors aren't working, or just a smaller venue, so that's nice.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked that is because I seen a band and they started a song 3 times, and then they were like, "Oh, the drummer can't hear the click. We can't play this song." So they just went on to a different song.
No,
we
would
just like it was just kind of weird. I mean, shit happens. Like I'm a musician, so it's like I'm not like talking negative or anything. I just thought it was weird that because I don't. In Iron Sharpens Iron that I play in, we don't play with a click. You know, we do when it's time to record.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't like practice to a click. We don't have any in-ears or anything like that. We never did an Infinite Design either. So to me, it was just kind of weird that you couldn't play the song just because you couldn't hear all the backing track stuff. But I think it went a little bit deeper. Like the guitar was running through the backing track too. Like the guitar wasn't even live. You're only hearing the backing track. So if the backing track goes away, you're not hearing the drummer can't hear any live guitar in the ears. So I think it was that kind of situation. But I always just feel like it's like, man, sometimes that's why you kind of have to have some kind of amp or some noise going on so we can at least jam the song. If all the computer fucking takes a shit or whatever.
We are still
unless
pretty
you got
much
2 backups on you.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't, you know, so the computer could just be like, fuck you today.
Yeah, I never wanted to go that route with my tone, like having my even like front of house, because there's some bands that they run everything through front of house, and you're at the mercy of that sound person, or you know, if something messes up, or you know. And plus I love having stage tone, and like with the Kemper through a cab sounds different than a Kemper through front of house or
for
whatever.
direct.
And it always sounds better. It just has a, you know, because you have your speakers and all that stuff in there.
Yeah, you get that IR and shit.
Yeah, so I will always have like a cab on stage mic'd. You know, I'm also kind of working on my own personal in-ear thing as well, to be able to hear myself in my ears, because sometimes, you know, if you can't hear, sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not if you can't hear yourself live.
Right.
But just to be able to have that, like last rehearsal we did, I had it and I was like, this is fantastic. Like, because I could hear myself, I could hear the click, I can hear drums, I can hear the backtracks. Like everything is just like super syncopated and like, you know, because like for me when I'm playing, if I can't hear myself as much, like I know I'm playing like the right notes and the right everything, but you don't have that kind of like feel to it, you know what I mean? Like you need to be able to, especially if you're like doing a solo, if you're trying to add some stank on something, if you can't hear it like real time, it feels you're a little too closed off. So
Yeah.
I got to be able to hear myself on stage, not just the in-ears, were I to use in-ears, but I need to like really feel it in my chest that I'm playing. Like I hate, not just as a bassist, but I got to imagine it. Any musician, like you got to hear yourself playing, not just hear it, but like feel it. Like
Absolutely,
I have to have it in my chest. Otherwise, man, I honestly, I just feel like I'm a puppet up there if I don't have the right volume, and I don't want to overrun or trample anybody with my volume. But I got to be like, this is the volume I need to be at. Everyone else come up. Sorry. Like, but you can tell me like you're dominating the mix too much and it's killing we can't get that loud or whatever, and then I'll roll it back or maybe I'll stand closer to my amp, but like I have to have a certain volume on stage. Otherwise I'm like, this kind of sucks. Like,
it's like a disconnect.
Yeah,
you're
raining on my parade. I want to perform. I need volume to perform.
Right.
That's me.
I've definitely had one of those already where I couldn't really hear myself at all. I could tell everybody else could.
Yeah.
Because they're reacting to,
Sure.
you know, everything else. And I'm just like, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
By the end of it, my voice was just shot.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
the worst when you're vocalist, when you can't hear yourself.
Yeah,
because
you end up
it just
inadvertently
fucks your
pushing.
vocals.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So you run 7 strings, Steve?
7, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's kind of what I thought.
Yep.
You guys have a dedicated practice schedule, like?
Yep.
Thursdays.
6 p.m. Come over to my house, like just my little compound over in Portage. Everybody lives relatively close.
Nice.
So it's not too much of a journey for anyone. I'll say Erick's got a bit of a jaunt, but I mean, like, still, it's not crazy.
It's not
45
that big a
minutes
deal.
in Bangor area.
Either. No, not at all.
So yeah, just come over around 6, and like, yeah, we usually we'll run the set once or twice, depending on how close we are to a show. But then after that, because we've been grinding, like that's part of the thing, you know, putting time in on your own. We can run the set if it's tight 2 times in a row. It's like, yeah, we still know how to do all these. And then that's when we can start diving into writing more and riffing, or even on like some of the existing songs, like talking about certain parts, especially, you know, like when Erick came into the fold. It's like, well, do you want to maybe do vocals here? Or like, you know, just kind of like feeling those spaces out. But like that's kind of how our practice is
Dusting
run.
some old ones off just in case too, you know.
Yeah.
Something
Yep.
like that.
Nice to
Yeah.
have
Some-
some in the bank if you
Yeah,
have
just
to.
old ones we haven't jammed on, you know, since, you know, first couple shows. It's like, let's make sure we still remember how to play these in case we want to break these out and just mix stuff up.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So that 6 o'clock on Thursday, that's a given. You don't need to send out text message like "see you at 6." Everybody just
Nope,
shows.
everybody
The only
shows
text
up.
is like, "I can't make it," if that's the case, right?
Right.
It's
Yeah,
not-
Yeah.
Or it's like, hey, I'm in town early. Is it cool if I swing over like 5:30? And I'm usually home by then. So it's like, yeah, man, I don't give a shit.
All right,
So it's like,
that's cool. Like,
yeah.
I like to hear that sort of commitment. Like everybody's just expected to be there.
Yep.
If you're not there, it's like, where's the message? What's up? Why didn't you
Yeah, and-
communicate with us? That's-
absolutely. And when people, and that's another nice thing. It's like we're really good open communication. So when people can't practice, like it's usually, you know, like 2-3 days ahead of time. Like,
Yeah,
I already
like a
know, like,
week
hey
or-
man,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I've got family stuff going on, and
Yeah.
like, and we're always like, hey, like if you got family shit going on that you have to take care of, like that still, you got to take care of that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
most
you got to
important.
take care of
I
that.
hate
Like, we're all-
I hate last minute shit. Like, oh, is who's gonna be? Is it gonna be this guy again? Like at 10-2, if I can't
yeah.
make it, like I'll strangle this guy. I
Yeah.
can't. Like so for me, I'm getting the impression here too from you guys. Like I look forward to it so much.
Oh,
like
yeah.
my whole week is like centered on.
Absolutely.
I cannot wait till Thursday at 6. God. 24 hours to go, that sort of thing. Like,
Oh, yeah, 100%.
my whole heart is set on like a band practice when I know I have one, and if somebody pulls out at the last second, I am
It's a bummer.
beside myself.
It
I
sucks.
skip right
It
past
does
the
suck.
anger to depression, and then I got to circle back to the anger just to be depressed later. Like,
Yeah.
I get so in my emotions about a missed band practice that it's. I've had to tell my wife, like, you need to come and save me from myself here. Like, remind me it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be all right.
Yeah, like you'll have another band practice, baby. You're okay.
It's the whole day at work on Thursday. I'm just I can't get out fast enough.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
want to go home and like
That's a good day
get
at
the
work,
basement-
though.
It is. Yeah, get the basement cleaned up. Like
Yep.
just geeked all day to have all the guys come over, and like it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
just,
Hell yeah.
I
It's
love
just
that.
crazy because like the feeling of making music just at practice, not having to go out and be on stage or having to do anything. Just the feeling that you get from making music is the most incredible thing ever.
Yeah.
Like I've never took a drug that's brought me to where music has.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And the thing about it is
I've tried.
with music is you can keep coming back to music. I make this comparison often, like the dudes that kind of peaked in high school with football or sports, they don't get to really do those things anymore. You get to our age and your body's just telling you don't even try.
It's hard enough to mosh now.
Yeah,
dude.
don't even try. But we can still pick up a guitar and play like the same as we did 30 years ago.
Right.
Like
Usually better. Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Hopefully, hopefully better.
That-
Otherwise,
I feel like if you really do dig doing the music thing, like especially if you've been doing it since you were in high school or for a long time, like you get up there on stage and it's one of those cliche things that makes you feel younger, man. Like I just get down there, get down, like yeah.
And plus, we have money now.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
it's just like not like how can't afford to get
of-
home,
yeah.
stuff like that. I mean, I remember the first show we played back in Neqriem, I think was Jeff Fest.
Yeah, it was Jeff Fest.
Was the second Jeff Fest? Excuse me. Was it first one?
Yeah, Jeff Fest 2. Yeah.
2. Yeah, and just like we got our little bit of cash from behind the bar, which was awesome. But still, like in all the shows through high school and everything before that, like I don't think combined with those like 150 plus shows I made that much money. Like that was cool, and just like being able to plug that back into the band and like that's cool.
Yeah, I love that.
It's also different. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's also different too. Like when you are playing music when you're younger and you're playing shows, it's like, oh, that's dope, and then you don't do it for a while and you come back, it's just like
It's sacred.
it is. It's incredible.
It makes
Like,
all of the like behind the scenes stuff worth it. Like,
Yeah.
to
Oh,
me,
absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
like,
As you guys know, it's totally different walking into a venue. Like when you're a band that's playing that night, like it just feels different. It smells different. Just
the
like
energy is different.
Yeah,
Everything
like,
where are
feels
we gonna
electric.
stage our gear?
Where are we
Like,
gonna put
you
all my
know,
crap?
Where's the power? Like what's the front of house looking like?
Yep,
you
I'm
know,
on a
getting the
whole
merch
different
set
planet.
up. Like,
Yeah,
Yep,
same.
absolutely.
Just like so, like that nervous excitement. Just like can't wait to get up there and just get down.
And then I
Especially,
love
yeah.
that too, like where it's like bands you've never played with before. Like there's still that like everybody's like got their camp thing, and everybody's kind of like, oh, what's up, and then after like the ice gets broken, and everybody's like, yeah, you're cool,
Yeah.
and
Let's get
everybody's,
down.
everybody's
You guys
loving it and
rule,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah,
Bust
I
out
love
the hacky
that.
sack.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, metal is just I've been to a few different shows, but the metal community in general is just so welcoming. Like I mean, we're a bunch of crazy metalhead dudes that like super brutal grind your face in the concrete music, but we'll also sit and pet your cat with you or
Right,
something like
exactly.
that.
I may have stopped our set like in Ferndale because somebody had a dog in there, and I was like, hold on, puppy.
Leaning
in the
almost
venue.
out of his chair.
Yeah.
Like over the drums. I asked her, I was like,
dog.
hey, is your dog like cool with like jams and heavy stuff? She's like, yeah, he loves it. So I was like, all right, send it. Fuck it.
Hell yeah. Fucking
Nice.
get it.
I mean, especially that sacredness for you, Steve, after trying to keep this band going and your vision alive for all these years, probably getting back on stage now is even significantly different
Yeah.
now that you got a nice solid lineup behind your vision and, you're not
I mean,
programming drums and shit.
Yeah,
you know?
it's fantastic. Like, and having that, excitement every Thursday. And I always try and working at Guitar Center, I'm always keeping up on gear too and talking with people and, trying to just kind of learn as much as I can and have something new to bring, or I'll have like a secret song that I'm working on and then I won't tell anybody and I'll bring it and be all super pumped, and
And they've always got some kind of super cool name to them.
yeah, all of our
Like-
working title names. Yeah.
Like Castle Crawler.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Spire, Scryer, Moat, Soaker.
Yeah,
whatever.
we're on this this castle.
So metal.
Got a very castle-y theme.
I just come to practice. He's like, "Hey man, made a new song. Yeah, what's it called? Dirk Diggler." I'm like, "Oh, fuck yeah, let's do it."
secret title.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Let
let's
it
talk a
hang.
little bit about some shows here. So originally we had you guys scheduled for Sunday, May 5th, but something came up, which was the Val of Noth Abigail Williams show.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
That was at the music joint.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
music.
Reggie's.
Yup, it was
Music.
Reggie's and so there's like two venues. There's like the music joint, which is like the next door one, which is like the bar, and then there's a rock club.
Yeah, I've been
Which
to
is-
Reggie's a handful of
Yeah.
times.
Yup,
Okay.
and it was supposed to be at the rock club, but we got bumped over because Kerry King was starting his tour. So he
Oh.
was there like a day early to like set up and like do all of his rehearsal stuff.
I think that was like his first show back as like Kerry King and like that project. So there was.
But yeah, it was. I mean, it was cool. Like, because like Veil of Nath, Ken, who's like in that as their vocalist now, he's been in Abigail Williams like from the very beginning.
Yeah, Ken Sorcerer.
Yeah. And then like it's like Vance from Veil, like he was also playing in Abigail Williams too. So it was like kind of cool, like how and the drummer too. Their drummer is
like Veil of Nath is now like basically Abigail Williams with their main songwriter. That's what I've noticed because I've got their Accursed EP, and it's a whole different lineup.
Yeah, Accursed when that came out, that was a little bit because they always kind of had that like that blackened kind of feel to them, but they were pretty melodic tech for a long time, and then that came out, and I still haven't listened to what is it, Guiding Light, their newest album.
Their new one is great.
Badass.
It's so good. You'll enjoy it.
It's
like,
badass.
Yeah.
At that show, like between Veil of Nath and Abigail Williams, the only people that switched on stage was the bass player. Like they had two different bases, but like everybody else is kind of like was still the same.
That was so
they
cool.
Change
though.
Outfits.
I think they did. No, I think they changed their vest.
Changed,
yeah,
gross.
yeah.
Took the spikes off around.
Yeah, they just put on the glasses with the big fake nose and the fucking
Groucho Marx glasses. Like, check us out.
Well, Ken also put on a guitar too. He played guitar in that band, but for as small of like a setup as it ended up being for us, like the sound was so loud. Like it was crazy how loud it was in there. Like, and it was fun talking with them.
Oh yeah, and that was our first time playing in Chicago. And that experience in of itself was awesome. Like the drive there was solid. Like Leo had a fast pass, so we just went on the toll road, and that was the shit. But yeah, it was really cool, and just being able to go there and just like play those guys. Everybody was cool because they've been doing it for a million years. Yeah. So like they were really cool to us, and just like didn't have that cocky arrogance about them that you may think they may carry or could have carried.
I was like, what kind of snare do you have? Like, what is that ride cymbal? It sounds so good. How do you guys run your backtracks? Like, what do you use for your in-ears? And they're all like super cool about it, and it was awesome.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Great experience. Just pretty solid turnout. My wife, bless her heart, Caitlin, she comes out to as many shows as she can and runs our merch table.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and she did awesome that night too. So yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, when it comes to Chicago, I'm pretty much like say less. I don't really need a reason to go. I'll just go there. Like if I'm invited or somebody says I'm perked up, I'm like, Chicago, let's go. What are we doing? Like,
send it. It's I feel like when we were like even like looking at shows to go see, like it's like okay, there's the Detroit show, but like when's the Chicago?
Yeah, is it before or after Detroit? Which way they going?
Like what venue is it at? Like we always try to explore those pretty evenly, I guess.
If Detroit's on a Thursday, I'm like, well, maybe Chicago's on the Friday or Saturday. It would be
absolutely
better.
Easier.
Hell yeah.
And then you guys played Pug Fest. What was that? A couple weekends ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a lot of fun for playing like a 2 p.m. slot. So second band up at New Way Bar, which is a super cool little venue. For being as small as of a bar it was, there was plenty of space for us on stage, which is always a big deal to me because I have a lot of crap. Like I will die on that 2-kick drum hill. I will always run 2 kicks, so I know that I'm going to take up a good chunk of space. And it was really fun. Good turnout for really early in the afternoon. They organized it. They organized it well enough that like there was gaps between bands, or because it was going across multiple venues, so they could come from other venues to check out bands and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. Everybody was super cool. And I always like faraway shows because I drive for a living, so I drive the van all the time, so I like driving out there and like faraway and shit, and just driving the guys around.
Hell yeah!
I like to come out early and set the bar, like 2 p.m. Let's bring it.
Yeah.
It was good. Our set was really tight. We got some new songs. That we play Elagos, but we have a couple new songs. One of them, which we're in the process of getting a single out now with, but a lot of what we're trying to do is, get a new set essentially. And then as soon as we get, our 8 or 10, however we want to do, and then we'll do like, this single and maybe another single. And we're just kind of in like writing mode to just really, we got a lot of good ideas, and it's just, it's getting to the point where there's like 4 or 5. So we just kind of need to like buckle down on like 1 or 2, and just kind of like, but that's also my problem because I'll like be working on something and then something new will come up and I'm like, this is awesome. Like I have to just write this song now, so there's just tons of, projects, but that's also good too. Cause we can always just like, well, let's pull this one that we were working on.
It's nice to be able to, if we grind on one for an hour a night, and it's like, okay, like we're not really getting anywhere on this, and if anybody gets burnt out on it, it's like, screw it, let's just switch over to one of the other 3 or 4 that we're working on. It's kind of nice to be able to keep that fresh and like not burn anybody out on anything.
Well, that kind of inspires this question on my behalf here. Are we going to see Elagos on another release, or is it just going to stay a single? Are you going to compile singles into a release? Because the problem with that is usually like how they sound back to back. Like if if the production's going to these don't fit together now.
Yeah, we've talked about that, and we're also kind of like exploring ways to kind of get singles out quickly. The way that we did this one that we're working on was a little bit different than what we did with Elagos. Like my buddy Steve, who I work with, he actually came over to John's house with like a portable like drum rig and like mic'd him up there, and then Leo went over to his house and did bass, and then I just finished up guitars on my own at home. And then once he gets a rough mix on that, we're going to go over there and kind of work on a polish and kind of we'll add solos at his house, and then Erick will come in and do guitar. But the plan is we'll probably
I'm going to come in and do guitar.
Vocals.
Yeah.
I was like,
found your second guitar.
I was
Yeah,
like, hot
man.
damn, Erick.
know I could play guitar, man. That's awesome.
Didn't know you could shred both. That's fucking awesome.
There's a lot of pressure on this
Yeah.
album, Erick.
Yeah,
Well,
man. This
yeah,
is
we'll
supposed
do
to be enlightening now. I'm fucked.
we'll probably do one more, and then we'll look at actually going in and doing like a full album. And we'll probably redo Elagos. We'll probably redo the new one that we're working on, and probably the other one that we'll have out too, just to have that, work with an actual engineer, producer, and get what we want our tone to sound like through the whole thing. Because we got a pretty good idea of like, because that was the other thing too, like at rehearsal and stuff, is like I'm always like, listening and hearing what our tone is going to be like, in the basement, and then when we go out, have that as good as possible, so that when we're on stage, even if it is a not so great PA or a smaller room, like we at least sound really tight. So working that into like a final album, finished product, like is going to be important for me, and just have like just to add to that song, that sound, corny our sound and stuff. So
I would definitely agree with what Steve's saying, because even just from when we recorded Elagos the first time, like I've added new drum flavors to that, just like new little fills or embellishments coming from being more comfortable with the song, and just kind of seeing where some of the other guys may have taken different things, little different riffs, little different runs, like Leo does, back to trying to really lock in with him more and make like a rhythm section too. So like that's been a part of the thing, and like to what Steve said, yeah, it would be great, sooner rather than later, whenever we got the material, to go in like to a studio and like sit down with the sound engineer and like, this is what our whole album's going to sound like. But I also, was like, we could do like a Red Chord Clients thing, where you got like the 8 songs, and then you're like, like here's a couple more from back, like the demos of like
some
Ant-Man,
really
like,
scratchy stuff.
So, yeah, how like we could still like, I don't want to just like disregard like Elagos, and like Spawn Unbound will be our next single that we have coming out.
Heard it here first.
I don't want to disregard like those, but also like I would love to be able to put a better polish on those at some point very soon,
and have it sound all fluid all the way from
absolutely.
front to
Yeah,
back.
that's a big deal. Absolutely.
Any album you listen to that's a professional album or a label album or whatever, like it sounds the same from start to finish, at least tone wise and levels wise, and that's like part of like the flavor of that album. If you listen to Nocturnal up against Verminous, like they have that Black Dahlia sound, but their tones are shifted a little bit. Things are a little bit different. They're trying different things, so that's important.
So you guys got a show. This episode won't be out when you guys have the show, but you guys are playing at Ruggers Up and Under.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
On the 20th, which is next weekend.
Yes, sir.
correct.
Yes, sir.
All
Yep.
bands except Mouthful of Locust been on the show. Crocophile hasn't been on the show.
We've
Like to
listened to
get
their
them on the
music,
show,
though.
but we did
Yeah.
listen to their music.
Mm-hmm.
You guys go to Kira, been on the show, and After Midnight. So all bands that been on our show so far.
You
so
gotta collect them
that'd be-
all.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And then the rap.
Yes.
The rap is like they're like a Kalamazoo like local legend, like Student Ghetto, like kind of.
Oh, the
like,
rap. Okay,
yeah.
that is a band. I wasn't
Yep.
sure what that was. So yeah, that I guess they haven't been on the show.
Yeah, they're like just like fun party like rap, just like MSI stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Oh yeah. What other shows you got coming up? Anything else coming up soon or?
We had some stuff, but it's kind of fell through. Always working on getting stuff set up,
Mhm.
but it will kind of be nice to maybe not right away, because we are like kind of figure out, all this material that we have. It's starting to kind of be like, oh, do we work on this song? Do we work on this song? Do we work on this song? So
Yeah.
like, and that's another thing too that we've utilized in the past is like, okay, like, if we don't have a run of shows, maybe not work on the set as much, we'll be like, okay, like everybody's got this song that we're planning on working on. We'll come to Thursday and just like warm up maybe with something and then just kind of work on that.
Yeah.
Everybody will have their laptop and like, if they're making changes to their tabs or if there's a scratch track or, working on like vocal patterns and then Erick always has like lyrics, figured out and stuff. So it's just like, just kind of piecing it all together in person and then keep continually communicating.
We try and take advantage of the downtime we have from shows as much as we can. As far as like getting new stuff out, even if it's just like sitting down, we have a shorter practice and like we throw some stuff on the grill and like let's talk merch or like figure out what we're doing with this or like well we got the trailer now, so like where should we start looking to try and branch out to that's farther away from Kalamazoo. So it's just kind of and back to the networking with other bands and stuff. It's just like we've I feel like we put out a pretty solid product and we played a good chunk of shows, but like we still have a lot of like it's about a humble pie to be eaten there.
Yeah.
Kind of
Oh,
like,
sure.
like we haven't really done anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like we got a lot of grinding to do, and
Yeah.
like I just want to get out there and play as many shows. But it's also important to us to write the new music
Yeah.
and take advantage of that downtime.
Yeah, it's always that balance.
Mhm.
So speaking of getting out further than Kalamazoo, now is touring something you guys see in your future? Is that something a goal
Absolutely.
of yours?
Definitely 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. We're all driving towards that one goal. Like everybody is trying to streamline as much as possible to make that happen.
Yep.
So,
in
so
every
everybody's got
possible-
like a job where they can get
Yeah.
a week or two away.
Yes.
Yep.
Like that's the most important
So,
thing.
yep,
And
we-
you might that's the other thing. You said personality for a second guitarist. The other thing is kind of like what's your work life like?
What's
'Cause
your
if-
tone sound like?
Yeah. if that guy can't get away for a tour, that's kind of like, oh, you're really good and you're funny, but man, if you can't tour, then it's kind of like, what's the point?
Right.
Right.
And that is
Absolutely.
always, like there's requirements just for any, sort of thing that you're invested time into with other people. It's a commitment thing. You have to be able to rely on them. They have to be reliable and just honest, just straight up as much as possible. And that's kind of how it was just from this collection from the beginning. It's just like, hey, we're going to say it how it is. Like everybody's supporting, everybody's cool. Like,
Mhm.
no ego, like just get it going.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, trying to find somebody that meshes, but also is professional enough, like outside of band stuff. Like keeping a job, just trying to keep, and back to the like the outside practice and the grind, just kind of keeping your shit together.
Well, even hearing you say that about like people's got their laptops open and changing the tabs on their own and just being able to do all those type of things as well and take your own notes and put the work in. Like not everybody's like that either. They
Right.
just want to come and jam just to jam to be in a band and
Yeah.
like that's not going to cut it with especially in you guys' situation
No.
and a lot of situations if
Yeah.
you're trying to be serious.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
absolutely. Just out. Yeah, it doesn't even need to be super technical stuff. Yeah, I mean, like we've alluded to before, if you're not putting in the time, like you can tell.
Yeah.
You can
I
tell,
was-
especially when everybody
yeah.
else around you is.
Yeah, I was in a band where that's exactly what happened. The reason I left is because the guitarist is like, I'm just going to go. I mean, we drove up from Paw Paw to Battle Creek
Ugh.
to rock out,
Fucking
and he
drive.
came up for maybe 9 or 10 minutes. We practiced a little bit. He's like, all right, sweet. I'm going to go home and get high. Bye, guys. And so my other guitarist is like, I'm done with this band. And I was like, I told him, I was like, if you quit, I'm following suit.
Yeah.
And so I did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm
again,
like,
if that
dude.
practice isn't as sacred as a show, then you just need to get new members, I think.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
The show is
Absolutely.
the fun. Even like practice is fun, but like practice is like, you know, we're
all-
there to all, you know, because I like to call it rehearsal because like I practice at
Yeah.
home
There you
and
go.
like I
Yeah.
can be like chopped up, but it's different with everybody else, you know.
Yeah.
Even if we're on the mat or whatever, like there's still that like pocket that you need to be able to find, and like especially in a lot of shows too, like you have 15 minutes to set up, if you know, and you don't have time to warm up or
Yeah.
whatever, you know. So you get on stage and you gotta do it.
We got to make it happen.
Right.
So,
Yeah, you got to have that serious professional vibe about you. Even at practice. Like we've talked about this too before, where like practice, if it isn't like all practice the whole time, what am I here for?
yeah.
Because I don't want to fool around in the driveway for 40 minutes, you know, like take a break and then be
Yeah,
horsing
not doing all
around.
that
Like I
shit.
just, I do enough. I have enough other things that I do extracurricular that are fun. And I hang out at home with the kid and play video games, or I'll read a book. You know, I got other games that I play. I can do all kinds of things for fun. When it's band practice, man, I am like so dialed in for that to
Yeah.
like just hold and play my instrument. I don't even want to take a break unless I'm like my shoulder hurts a little bit for like 50 minutes at the bass on the shoulder. I'm ready to take
Oh yeah,
5.
absolutely.
But only 5. I'll fucking set a timer, like
Yeah,
stopwatch. Like,
100%.
dudes, get back here. Don't go
I'm
far.
the same way. It's like we'll start talking about something. It's like, okay, cool, we laughed. Let's fucking start
Let's do
playing.
that.
again.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
we can
yeah.
laugh after practice, before practice next week,
Yeah.
but not on Tuesday.
Yeah,
like,
like
exactly.
on
Right.
Tuesday, you got 2 or 3 hours
Ugh.
dedicated time. For me, I would put in 5 or 6 if I
Yeah.
had my choice.
Absolutely.
But if you only got 2 or 3, and that's what everybody has, that's fine. But let's fucking get to work.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what are we doing here?
absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely,
we're not
100%.
wasting time, you know. So
If you're trying to do something with this besides have it just for fun with the guys, like I always tell my friends, like, leave me out of that. I am sorry. Like, just leave me out of the 2 to 3 hour like fooling around
bullshit thing.
Yeah,
jam
yeah.
session.
absolutely.
Like, hey, we learned a couple songs. You want to come and fool around with them? I'm just always like, not really. Like, unless you guys want to learn 80 cover songs and do that thing, and go out to you know like
Play 5 hours a night.
Yeah.
yeah,
in
like
some
that's
paid.
now
dive
you
bar,
got
yeah.
now you got my attention. Or we're gonna do like an original band, but when we practice, we're practicing like for 4 hours straight.
Right.
And like, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah.
And
Right.
other than that, I mean, my friends kind of got the hint by now. Maybe they watch the pod, maybe they don't. But I've said it enough over my lifetime where I'm like, I don't do like the freestyle jam session. I'm just not even that kind of musician. I got to rehearse my stuff or practice at home and like know what I'm gonna do. And I might not even improv a whole lot. I might like have played something so much that I can build on it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, wow, I was just inspired at practice to do this. But I'm kind of like miss me with the whole improv jam session and the whole get together for funsies. Like the fun is all the work that builds up to doing the show or having the final product in your hand, like having that compact disc. I'm old school like that. I'm an OG.
Oh, yeah.
I got,
Absolutely. I'm
Oh,
a
yeah.
physical copy guy. I
Yeah.
love having that in my mitts. Like,
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm every time I get a chance to talk about it, like having like now 4 or 5 albums on my shelf, like they're like trophies on the
Yeah.
top of my bookcase.
hell
Like,
yeah.
I fucking
Absolutely.
worked so hard, and Jay even harder, because he was the producer and the songwriter. So I'm like proud of Jay's work. I'm just like, Jay did this for me.
Yeah.
my boy, my boy.
Oh, hell
I
yeah.
love
That'd be
it.
one of those things like, you have somebody new come over to your house and it's like, yeah, there's the bathroom, there's the kitchen, but look up there on
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
shelf.
Yeah,
Like,
it's,
absolutely. That's a huge point of pride.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we're starting to run out of time here, just because I don't want to keep you guys all day. But we got a couple more questions for you. If you got
Hell
a minute,
yeah.
are you good with
Oh,
that?
we definitely
Okay,
do.
cool.
Yeah, we got time.
So,
Cool.
real quick, I always like to ask this question because I can kind of see what you're made of. What is your favorite part of like being in Neqriem or just doing the music that you do?
Oh man.
Man, I can't put one thing together for it, or just like name one thing. For me, it's everything. The camaraderie. Like I'm not in a band with people.
Okay.
I'm in a band with my family.
There you go.
I love these guys to death. Just everything, being able to jam. The nights that we'll have a Thursday where we're not playing a show and we're like, all right, let's get some grub. Like John was saying, we'll eat and we'll hang out, we'll talk. We're always dedicated to writing the music. We've always got new ideas, and everybody is always willing to bounce ideas off each other. Just acceptance of everything. Like there's just I could go on all fucking day about why I love jamming with these guys, but I couldn't put one thing or even 10, like I could write a book to be honest with you.
Well, that wasn't the question. No, I'm just kidding.
Way to go!
I don't care about your fucking
didn't answer
book.
anything.
Plug your book.
Totally kidding with you, bro.
Oh, God.
No, I get it. Well, some people only have, like, when I say your favorite thing, like, you know, some people have something that just really speaks to them, you know.
Right,
but
yeah.
I mean, I get where you're coming from, man. It makes total sense.
The like I think one of the things I was going to say Eric hit on immediately was camaraderie.
Yeah.
Like just like I've been in bands before, as we all have done the band thing, been there, done that. But just like that lead up to Thursdays, not only do I know that I'm gonna have band practice, but when I have band practice with like some of my best friends,
There
like
you
my
go.
boys, like they're coming over, we're gonna hang out, we're gonna make some brutal music, and it's been really fun coming back to the scene after having been out of the scene for so long. I lost a lot of love for making music. I still loved music, but just like having such a bad experience in the first band toward the end, like, you know, it's like, do I want to invest that time in it? But like once Neqriem really started going, it really rekindled that love for making music and making music with like my best friends. And like that's there's lots of things like Eric, there's a lot of things I could say that were that would be like probably my favorite thing from Neqriem, but honestly just like I think I might boil it down to like the camaraderie we have as a unit. Just like you said, just everybody loves each other. We're all homies. Like we're all looking out for each other outside of work and outside of band stuff. So just like, yeah, it's fun just being with all these guys and making brutal music.
Nice.
My favorite thing is, I mean, honestly, playing guitar is probably my favorite thing.
Yeah.
You know, looking back and kind of keeping perspective on like how I started off, like, and how I've kept with it and gotten like better and better, and at least I think, and just being able to like when I'm at home and I'm like writing or if I'm practicing and like I have to like check myself because I'm like laughing and screaming so much because I came up with something so fun and cool and I can't wait to show everybody, and it's like, oh shit, I'm gonna wake everybody up. Like those moments for me are probably my favorite. Being like when you like write something or you hit a plateau where you're like, fuck yes, like this is it. Like I'm so excited. I can't wait to like share this with not only my brothers but with the fans or with people in general, and just to have that like sense of pride about it. You know, like I write music for myself. Like it's pretty kind of a selfish way to put it, but like I need to be able to have this outlet, and if I have people around me who share that same kind of passion and that kind of, you know, delivery, you know, and we can do it and we all have fun and we all make each other better, and we all get that geeked out like when we're playing riffs and we're just like stank facing and like that's sick, like that's like yeah, like fuck yeah, like that's what it is for me. And then like all the work too, like, you know, like all the cool like tone stuff or Kemper or pickups or you know that kind of stuff is important too, and like, you know, for me as well. But yeah, it's just having those like moments at 2 a.m. where like you hit that like eureka, like your skin crawls on your fucking arms and you're just like so excited and you can't go to sleep because you're just like, this fucking riff is awesome, or this song is done.
Show it to the guys.
Can't wait to show it to people. Like
So excited.
That's probably my favorite thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's one of my favorite things too, where you talked about when you're in the room with the guys and you jam something for the first or second time and it just feels good, sounds good, and you're like, and you're all looking at each other like, that's fucking heavy.
Yeah, I love
that's
it.
the good shit.
Absolutely.
You finish the song, everybody just kind of looks at each other. You're like, that was fucking tight.
Yeah,
like that
hell
felt
yeah.
heavy.
Or like the other fucking day when John, I was over at his house, just like sometimes I'll go over there on Sundays because I work really close, and I'm just like, fuck it, I'm gonna take a 2-hour lunch. Like I'm gonna go fucking play guitar.
It's like, John, you want to do an executive lunch
Yeah.
and jam? I'm like, fuck yeah, come on, let's riff.
And he's like, I wrote a riff. I was like, play it right now. Like, you know, like that's something I'm not used to, having a drummer, like, you know, writing a riff necessarily on drums, and you know, and like he's playing it, and I'm like, and I catch on to it, and we're like going and building on that, and just like that was fucking awesome, you know. And we recorded it, thank God, you know. And so that's
one of the few times we actually did that.
Yeah, so you know, that's what it is, man. It's just like that for me.
Nice.
Creative process.
So I you kind of said what's next, but I'd like to kind of just know what's next, and we got like 2 more questions for you guys. What actually is next? I know you said something about getting this music together, taking a break from shows, but where do you see that? Do you have kind of like a timeline in mind as far as a goal?
Well, it would be our single is the most important thing, or the most upcoming thing right now in the camp. I just got guitars done for that, and then getting that over. So probably in the next couple weeks, we should definitely be starting to get some, rough mixes for that. So hopefully in like a month, we can get it done, because, having somebody else spend their time, is the most valuable thing with anything, especially in music and communicating. So that's the first thing on the docket, is getting this new single out. Getting more shit with Erick on it. There's also talks of possibly re-releasing Triptych with Erick doing vocals on it. Still working some of the details out with that. Just as like a CD thing. So like you can only get it at our shows.
Okay.
But then we definitely want to. I don't see a reason why we couldn't potentially start recording in the winter or next year. And then definitely with the timeline with things, like putting in the work there and then trying to, maybe tour next summer, have a new album out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
Just
still trying
to stay on top of getting more shows up and through the winter. I mean, I'd love to play all winter too, but also I'm old. So when I'm lugging all my shit out and it's -5, I'm like, oh God. But
if good shows pop up, we're definitely gonna play them. That's important. And but yeah,
definitely a harder focus on getting new material.
Okay.
Especially new material with Erick. Because he deserves that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh.
Hell yeah, cool.
I mean, no, he doesn't.
Fuck me.
So, do you guys get any hobbies outside music? I know, Steve, music is your whole life as far as...
I don't have hobbies.
Steve has no hobbies.
And that's okay, because I don't really either.
I mean, I got 2 kids, that take some time. I like to bowl, and I've had some other things. I used to play Magic the Gathering super hard,
my boy.
Wow, boy. But then MTGA came out, and I was like, this is a problem, because I'm just on my phone just playing Magic, and then there's kids running around, and it's okay, so it just kind of sacrifices here and there. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. My time is very regimented, so it's there's morning routine, there's work, there's nighttime routine, there's dinner, and then there's household stuff, and then there's guitar. So that's pretty much practice. It. Yeah, that's
once you get some other obligations and you get a little up there in age, you only can dedicate so much time to things. Hobbies is one of those things where it might be something you enjoy, but it's really being in a band or being a musician, writing, especially as much as you do, or being in the studio when you're not at band practice. That's pretty much all your free time. It's hard to have hobbies.
100%.
That's why I don't really have any hobbies. Everything is either podcast, band, fucking around over there in the studio. Work. I mean, work, family stuff, but you know, I don't really have any hobbies. A lot of people are like, "Hey, you want to go disc golfing? Or you want to learn jiu-jitsu?" I'm like, I want to do all that shit, but I only have one. I only have one fucking life.
Yeah,
I barely have time for that.
I'm a huge disc golfer.
Okay.
So I was actually going to play in a tournament yesterday in South Haven, but I was like, nah, just after going to a show on Friday, and it's I wanted to make sure I was not just fucked when I came here.
Burn out.
Yeah. So just I'm a big disc golfer. I try and get out super early in the morning, on weekends, so it's done early, because I guess it's another thing with Neqriem and just how we're progressing. It's not that I feel guilty sometimes, when I go disc golf for 3 or 4 hours, man, I really could have spent some time fucking around with this riff, or playing in the basement. But I also try and be able to, I don't want to say get away from it, but it's decompress a little bit sometimes, give yourself a mental break. But yeah, I'm big disc golfer. I've got 3 dogs. So I do a lot of shit with my goobers. I'm a giant anime nerd, big manga physical copy anime guy. So big mech anime guy. So I watch a lot of anime and stuff like that, and collect that shit. I'm big. I'll say as Steve is too. Like lots of tattoos. Whenever I can get in and get stabbed, I guess that's not really a hobby. It's more of an addiction. But I don't do a whole lot outside of that. How about you, Erick?
I'm a hardcore gamer.
Okay.
So like I said, I don't have a family or anything like that, like a significant other or whatnot. So I just do my thing and go home and fucking just game.
Fire it up on Twitch, stream it, or what?
No,
PC
nothing
or
like
you
that.
should, man.
I've got a Xbox Series X and a Switch.
Okay.
I've been switching between like Luigi's Mansion 2 remaster and Elden Ring DLC and shit. So I'm like all over the place. But yeah, pretty much just video games. I like a little bit of anime, and I'm not cool enough to have a bunch of tattoos. So.
Well,
You'll get there.
You
at some
haven't
point.
made all those necessarily irresponsible financial decisions. Cause
Yeah.
it's
No, because the money that would go to
Yeah, like-
tattoos got put into video games.
Right.
So, you know.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's always cool to have something other than music, like you were saying, John. Like, just because sometimes you do need to step away from it because it can just become all-consuming, you know. So it's like that for me is more just kind of like working out, going for walks, stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
just-
like you got to have something that. I mean, the problem is that when I'm working out or going for a walk, I'm still thinking about music. So
100%.
all
Yeah.
the time, all the time at work.
So
Like playing those riffs back in your head, like okay, like yeah, that would be cool. Like what transition, you know? Like
Dude, it's funny you say that because I'm thinking of a transition I'm stuck on right
Yep,
fucking now. So,
exactly.
like,
Steve, you wouldn't dare call your band your hobby, then, would you?
Oh no, it's more than a hobby
Yeah.
for sure. It's
just-
definitely a lifestyle. You
there
know.
you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For people listening, they like to maybe kind of downplay the music thing as just your hobby. Like, oh, it's just your hobby, and it's like, I'm sorry, this hobby's like 25 years running long. Like, it's not a
Absolutely.
hobby.
Like, we're past a hobby now.
Yeah,
like,
no, like-
this is.
Yeah, and it has its frustrations and stuff, but like
That
talking with my wife about it, and she was like, if you didn't have this music like thing that you're doing, like I wouldn't want to be around you. Like
Yeah,
you'd
you'd be a miserable
you'd be
bastard.
horrible.
I know that.
Like you would be fucking horrible.
I feel like that goes for just about everybody in the
Yeah,
band. I
me
mean,
too.
and like a lot of people I know that do music. Like
Yeah.
if we didn't have that outlet, and like or just couldn't do it, like you'd just be fucking miserable.
Yeah.
I know I
And
would be.
I've gone through the miserable phase too, and sometimes I feel like I'm kind of in it because I don't know what my next project's going to be. I just did 2 years of school, and I had to focus on that. I had to make sure that was like my priority.
Oh hell yeah.
And I was available for music, but not as much as I'd like to be per se. But I'm just so looking forward to the next thing, whatever it is. Like I'm up for hire, but I also
Yeah.
have the family.
Hell
You know,
yes.
I got the kid,
Yep.
I got the
Okay.
wife, so that's a limit right there, right? Like you just only so much time I can
Yeah.
give myself away, and I really have to like say 1 or 2 nights a week. But that's again where like the dire importance of it comes in. Like it's Thursday at 6. Don't
Yeah.
fuck with me in
Yeah,
my
'cause,
time.
yeah,
Like I get
That's
really
my time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because everybody else is giving up something to be here too. So
Right.
don't disrespect my time when you say
Yeah.
you're going to
And
be
I've-
here or say you're going to be here at a
Yeah.
certain time
Yeah.
and not, because it's like
Yeah.
you're not the only one.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've been the single
know?
guy with nobody else in my life and showing up late, and people like have been pissed at me, rightfully so. And now I see things
right here. I remember that.
Yep. I see things through a different lens these days, and I hate being late. And your employer usually doesn't go for it, right?
Yeah. No shit.
Like, your
Right.
employer's usually like, you get like 2 of those, and then we got to sit you down, and then we got to put you on the plan, and then we got to talk about firing you. So
Yeah.
like,
Yep. That's like
So-
my exit from Guitar Center. Like, yeah.
It was pretty cool. My dad was really big and still is in my life with like music and stuff. But like when I first started taking like piano lessons, like there was times where I didn't want to do it, but he was like, he sat me down. He's like, I'm just trying to help give you something that nobody else can take away from you. And like that's what like music is. And that I remember like that rings in my head like all the time. It's like that's like, and ever since that I was just like, yeah, like this is something that I have, even if it's just for me. Like I would still, if anything ever happened with the band, like knock on wood, that would never happen like spontaneously, but I would always still be in my basement at 2:30 in the morning, like playing guitar and like coming up with stuff and or whatever. Like
it's
Hell
awesome,
yeah.
it's awesome
That's
to hear
when
that
it's-
kind of support from your family.
yeah.
Oh, it's a huge deal. Like just from I we live on 5 acres right in the middle of Portage, so it's kind of like a little family compound. And even on back to the Thursdays at 6, my dad will wander over from next door and just like sit down and watch. And I'm like, back to the grow up listening to 80s synth pop in his tanker truck with him. And he's like, I'm not a metalhead, but he's just like, I love watching the chemistry you guys have. I love watching the creative process of music. And as somebody, because my dad is not a musician, I think that's kind of cool. It was cool to hear from him. It's like watching you guys do your creative process and like see how that goes. Like that
he's
was
our band manager.
Yeah, he's the band manager.
He's the forefather.
He likes to tell the story that Steve and Leo suck so much ass playing their instruments right-handed that they made him switch to being left-handed.
Yeah. and it worked.
Worse.
It worked.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's worse.
Dude.
All right, so we're probably going to wrap this beast up. Mod's got one final question for you guys, and then we'll get final thoughts and let you guys.
Yeah, we'll go around the table real quick. Maybe start wherever you'd like, but let's just hear what you're digging on that's heavy, what you're listening to, and what do you guys like to chill out to if you have something besides metal that you'd like to share with your audience that you are inspired by or decompress or chill out to.
I've been diving a lot. I've been diving back into Psychroptic a lot because Scepter of Ancients album was huge for me. I loved that album, but then like Observant and like I've been diving back into like more just like newer Psychroptic. Just anything along those lines. I still always find myself going back to those old like go-tos, like I'm a huge Meshuggah fan.
Oh yeah.
So like
Same.
I failed to mention this earlier when we were talking about formative stuff. I remember seeing the Nothing music video and being like, holy fucking shit. Yeah. Like, what is this? I need more of this. And dove into that. So like still that kind of heavy stuff still always like Meshuggah, Cal Decapitation, New Summoning the Lich is dope. I just got back. I've been doing more Hate Eternal recently. I love Hate Eternal. Like Erick Rutan.
Yep.
Got to meet him. He was a super cool dude.
Nice.
But yeah, outside of that, like if I'm not listening to like Wild Tech Death, I'm a big '90s, like early '90s hip hop guy.
Okay.
I don't want to say big, like I have an encyclopedic knowledge, but I love that kind of old school hip hop. I'll do some trap and like funk stuff too, like if I'm just trying to like chill.
Nice.
But usually still the techie heavy stuff, but yeah, I try and keep I think it's nice. I think it's good to have a broad spectrum.
For sure.
I just declared Nothing one of the most influential and important metal albums of all time. So
I would absolutely agree with you. That entire album is loaded with just amazing songs. I mean, like, I could talk to you about Meshuggah for like 3 more hours.
Which isn't to say they didn't come up with like even better material after that, but especially like for the time that it came out, what they were onto, and what that album is chock full of. Like they managed to take their style of music, but also make it groove. I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't not after Chaos Sphere. I wasn't, because Chaos Sphere he's like everywhere on the drums, and it didn't really groove, even though they had some cool riffs. But yeah, that's our most recent episode. I declared that one of the most important metal albums of all time.
Nebulous is one of my favorite songs on Nothing, just because it's just so heavy and driving and slow. But yeah, that's basically I still kind of stay in that lane though.
That's cool. I love it.
So I don't listen to a ton of metal.
That's all right.
I've been getting back into Between the Buried and Me again, and of course Summoning the Lich. They got new stuff coming out soon, so I'm getting stoked for that. I listen to, like, my favorite band is called Ocean Grove.
Okay.
They're a bunch of Aussie dudes who just like, funky kind of party groove stuff, and they got all sorts of stuff like that. But I listen to a ton of chill hop. I love chill beats and just like really relaxing music. So I don't know if I'd say like any particular band, but definitely a lot more mellow grooving type stuff. I feel like it definitely helps calm my mind down a lot when I'm.
You still keep it like organic rock music just to chill out too? Is that what you're saying? Like
no, like reggae even, and stuff like that. Very relaxed, easygoing kind of music. But I still get down. Like we were rocking out, Cattle and Cannibal and the Red Chord and everything on the way here. So like I'm always
bunch of None So Live Cryptopsy.
yeah,
good shit.
So
love it.
My hyperfixation right now with metal is probably anything that Wes Haw has to do with, like, so all the alluvial shit is just
awesome.
so good.
Amazing.
Like I fucking love it.
He's on that Glass Casket too. You know that?
Yeah, he no, they're because they came out with a like a song like 6 months ago, like a new song. It was on like I forget. It was like not Go fetish website, but that's something different. No, no. But yeah, there was with Wes and I always forget the guitarist from BT Bam, who's
Dusty.
Yeah, yep. So it was pretty good. It was.
Yeah, they have a whole EP they came out with.
Oh snap!
Adam Cody, the singer, he was on our show.
Oh,
so
badass.
we talked to him about.
So
that
that's
or whatever.
recent. Then.
Yeah, very recent.
I have
'cause
to
Wes
check
is
that
on
out.
it.
Yeah, I have
it's
to check
good,
that out
dude.
right now.
It's like what, 4 songs?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
oh my God,
It's fucking
listen
badass.
to that.
Dude.
Yeah,
You'll love it.
I'm sure I will love it. So that is obviously going to be my newest obsession. As far as like chill music, like I said, I still love like CKY.
Oh yeah,
and I love how they like split up. But so there's like Darren Miller's CKY and then like Chad Ginsburg's CKY. So it's like cool.
World Under Blood.
Yeah, and World Under Blood. You know, so like very. And then I mean, I like 90s dance music too.
Nice.
You know,
Fuck
like
yeah.
La Bush,
Oh, yeah.
man, and like stuff like that. But then a lot of Bluey. A lot of Bluey gets played
Yeah, you
in
got
my
some
household.
Bluey jams
Oh
going.
yeah, for sure.
Hey,
And it's
we-
good. You know,
we
production's
watch.
good on it.
Yeah, no, we watch all the Bluey in my house, so I'm with
He's
you
like,
there.
he's like, I'm very well versed in the Bluey.
Yep.
Yep.
It's for everybody too. I mean, it's just my opinion. Becoming a parent, it's not just for parents or just for kids. I mean, I think people can learn something from Bandit. He's a good guy.
I've heard of a
It puts a
few
lot of
parents
pressure
that-
on me.
Yeah, talk about dads. I want to be Bandit, like in every moment of challenge. Like,
Yep.
man, that guy knows how to be a parent.
But they're also dogs too, so they're also
Yeah.
just have like infinite energy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why am I judging myself against this cartoon dog?
That makes me feel like shit.
Yeah.
And a whole writing team telling you how he's living his life too.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
You'd have to consult with them to figure out your life,
I'd love to.
But with that being said, is there anything else that we missed? Anything else you guys want to say? Anything else you guys want to go over before we wrap it all the way up here?
Leo, you wanna take us out, Leo?
Yeah.
Yeah, Leo. We'll wait.
Yeah, we'll give you your time.
No.
Give you your time.
No.
I just really want to say thanks a
Yeah.
lot for having us come out here.
Thanks for making the drive.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. Like we weren't trepidatious, just like nerved up a little bit coming up here, but you guys have been super cool and like made us feel really
you.
comfortable, and like it's been a while. I feel like we could sit down here and talk with you guys for like 5 more
Oh,
hours.
yeah.
100%.
For sure.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. I'm grateful. I love what you guys are doing.
hell yeah.
This is like, especially with like, local musicians and like our local scene, I guess. It's good to have this outlet for people, to express themselves because it's interesting. Asking questions, where they started, where they're going. It helps boost the scene in a different, way, and it's just super dope and appreciate it.
Hell yeah, man.
I think for all your fans that you can only afford to give 3 to 5 minutes, like at a show, now they can sit down and listen to you guys talk for like 90 minutes or more about
Yeah, 100%.
questions that they just don't have time, the luxury of time on either end, you or them, to ask and answer. So, yeah, I mean, that's a good way for the fans to get to know you guys. So.
Absolutely, we absolutely love what you guys are doing.
Appreciate
just,
that.
like
Thank
bringing
you.
all these
Yeah.
cool, kick-ass local bands. Like it's even like bigger bands too. Like it's just you're doing a lot of awesome stuff. And that's
Thanks.
super fucking cool.
Really.
And I
really
just
Yeah, because
appreciate
you guys are in the scene and you also have like the same tastes and flavors in your journey through metal too. So it's just like, it's awesome.
I just love
It
it when
is.
you guys, like any band that comes through here and like name drops a band that I also really dig on. I'm like, oh, fucking Alluvial?
Yeah.
Somebody else knows them?
Yeah.
I don't
100%.
get that in my day-to-day life. Like I don't
Right.
Same.
I don't just get to talk to somebody who mentions some like random deep extreme metal band and I'm like, oh, yes, my brother in metal.
Yeah.
Good to
Yeah,
meet you.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
And before I let you guys go, I just have to say for everybody listening, if you haven't listened to this band Neqriem yet, talking about some S-tier musicianship, I was just fucking blown away listening to you guys. I was like, wow, they're human. They're real people. I get to sit down with these people today. So
Yeah,
if you
I
haven't,
appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
if you're
Thank
just
you.
listening to the pod and you haven't heard their music yet, go and stream Elagos right now. Get to know Eric. You are on it, correct? We've
Yeah,
stated
yes,
this
sir.
several times.
Yep.
So that'll be like a good representation of what you guys are doing. Probably closest to the trajectory of what is going to happen in the future. Correct.
Yes.
And
Yes,
then, and then
yes.
double back and listen to the one before that triptych. I was just like, stop it. But just,
They're
dude,
amazing
Steve,
musicians.
your solos, dude. Like,
Thank
they
you.
just weren't like scribbly tech all over the place. Like I heard some unique sounding notes in there. And I was like, what the fuck is that harmonic? What is that?
and props to Caleb too, because Caleb, for Elagos, Wade's is the first solo, and
Okay.
then mine is the second solo. But yeah, I mean, just You know.
You can tell you put the work in, bro. Like, I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you. You know. And
It's good. It's
don't worry, it's mostly harmonic minor. So.
What a beautiful scale.
I know.
Well, with that being said, you guys are. I always open the invitation after we have a podcast. I know we could talk for hours, but you guys got some more stuff along the horizon. Something else you want to talk about? You guys are more than welcome to come on the show anytime.
would
Oh,
love to come
yeah,
back.
100%.
Absolutely.
We're
Fuck yeah.
extremely grateful. You guys
When
are.
we'll bring Leo this time.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
play
Yeah.
the bass player over here.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely.
my buddy Leo.
It'll
So-
just be a one-on-one interview. Just you guys.
So, with that being said, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
The link for all
Appreciate you
your new
greatly.
link tree will be below in this video, so make sure you
Awesome.
guys go check out Neqriem. And with that being said, keep it metal. Much love to you guys. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yep.
Keep it metal.
Thank you so much for checking out the episode. Be sure to hit that like button and give us a share.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed our podcast today, please give it a rating on your streaming service to help us gain some exposure.
And if you really enjoyed the show, please give us a follow or hit that subscribe button and come hang out with us every week. And remember, keep it metal.